Thanks, folks, for joining me tonight. Yeah, as usual, it's one thing I do not like to do is to speak English. I rather speak English to my dogs, but I speak Yoruba to my children, and I prefer to speak Yoruba because it's my indigenous language. Speaking my language makes me to have some a sense of self-preservation. But oftentimes when I'm being forced to have to speak English, I am not really impressed about it because that's not my indigenous language. My indigenous language is Yoruba, but because there's so many people who are interested in what I do, and there are so many people I would like to address, particularly tonight I will be addressing the Igbo, and then I have to use the English language. But I encourage young Yorubas to speak our indigenous language because we cannot forever be slaves. If you look across Southeast Asia, Japan, China, Malaysia, Singapore, all of them, they speak their indigenous language. That's one of the reasons why they are successful today. We cannot forever be speaking English. It is not our language. But because I'm making a presentation that has to do with a nation, the Igbo nation, so I want them to understand what I'm going to say tonight. Because of this presentation, I have been invited to two interviews by Igbo. I'm not going to make mention of their name. Maybe over the weekend I'm going to do that interview, but I'm not meeting anyone, so people can do know. So tonight I'm going to speak about Igbo, a clear and present danger in Yorubaland. And then that topic, believe you me, is very important. It's very important to the young Yoruba because if you do not understand the historical past and you cannot observe what is happening presently, you will not be able to conveniently and conclusively predict the future. So for you to be able to predict the future, you must understand what has gone wrong in the past or what has happened in the past, and you must observe the present situation, then you'll be able to predict the future. People cannot just wake up and say that because we have a Fulani as the president of Nigeria now, the Igbo and Yoruba should work together. But some few years back, we had an Ijoman as the president of Nigeria. So if the Ijoman had done what exactly is expected of him, we wouldn't have ended up with a Buhari today. So something went wrong. And you don't say that because you have a Fulani who is the president and everybody is being killed, then you have to be blind to what has gone on in the past. You will always make mistakes. So as a Yoruba nation, for us to know exactly what we are going through and what we are going to do in the future that is just before us, you need to understand what has happened in the past. You need to understand what has happened what is going on in the present. So for us to be able to predict the future. So tonight, I will be combining the historical atrocity of the Igbo against the Yoruba nation, as well as what they've done presently. The present atrocity of the Igbo started from 2010 during the Jonathan administration, and it is still ongoing. So if you conjure the two together, you'll be able to predict the future conveniently. And then we are doing this. We are doing this for one purpose, so that we know what we are going to go to war for, and we know what we are going to do to achieve Oduduwa Republic. Now, so tonight, I would like to go ahead with my lecture. And I believe that you're going to enjoy it at the end of the day. You agree with me. You see, I have seen in every society, even in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, the country that I now currently live in, but the country I wish not to live in, because I would have loved to live in Yorubaland. I would have loved to live in my ancestral homeland, where I can attain my full human potential. Living in England has really, really tortured my life. And not only me, so many young Yorubas who are exceptionally brilliant were scattered all over the world, unable to attain our full human potential. So we want to end this nonsense, living in other people's homeland, where we are being cheated, where we are being discriminated against, where we are being abused. So we need to build our homeland so that our children can have a future. And that's why we're doing that. In this country and in every society, it is very rare to see intelligent people. Believe you me. Folks, Yoruba are very gullible. Because if we are not gullible, you won't allow 9% Fulani, who contributes 0% to your GDP, who contributes 0% to your national income. to control the presidency, to control the National Assembly, to control the judiciary, to control the military, to control the intelligence agency, to control the federal civil service. If we are not gullible. So in every society, it's sometimes difficult, very difficult, to see intelligent people. Oftentimes, very small quarters numbers of people are intelligent. Even if you go to the United States of America, the percentage of intelligent people is about 0.001%. And always very few. But let me tell you one story you do not know to the young Yoruba. Yorubaland would not have been what it is today if not for the ingenuity of one single man whose obsession with Yorubaland knows no bounds. Like I said, it is very rare to see intelligent people across every society. They are always in small number. When we started this, people were not supporting us because a number of Yoruba were gullible. But they are no longer gullible because they have woken up to the reality. We cannot be the majority in Nigeria in terms of the population. We cannot be contributing 49% of the income of the federal government. We cannot be making 80% contribution to the gross domestic product of Nigeria, yet we're second-class citizens to Fulani contribute nothing. It doesn't happen anywhere. In the United States of America, it's not the case. In Great Britain, it's not the case. Also, why should Fulani control and rule over the Yoruba? We are stopping it. Believe me, the information we're getting is that the Yoruba youth have woken up. And we will get to the Dua Republic. We are going to shock you, but it will come to pass. So there was a man who was possessed with the development of Yorubaland. He put his life on the line for the greater cause of Yorubaland. At the age of 12, he was captured along with his mother and toddler brother, with his entire member of his family and his entire village. They were captured by European slave raiders. That was 1821, and he was taken to Freetown, Sierra Leone. After securing his freedom, his love and passion to help Yorubaland remains sacrosanct. He wanted to help his homeland. He was taken at the age of 12 into slavery and dumped in Sierra Leone. But after securing his freedom, he traveled down to Yorubaland. He wasn't keen about developing Sierra Leone. He was keen about developing his fatherland, Yorubaland. In order to awaken popular enthusiasm in a future generation to be able to develop at their own pace and confronted the English colonial thought, this single man converted to Christianity. He codified the Yoruba language. He translated the Bible into the Yoruba language, compiled a Yoruba dictionary, and wrote the history of the Yoruba people. Before this man, the Yoruba can speak their language. But the Yoruba Oyo is different from the Yoruba Akoko. It's different from Yoruba Ife. But this man, he wanted to unify his race, the Yoruba nation, and he codified our language. In 1891, he died on the last day of that year. Who am I talking about? The only and one greatest unsung Yoruba hero, Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther. So young folks who are watching me, this guy was captured at the age of 12, along with his entire family member. He was taken to Freetown in Sierra Leone. After regaining his freedom, he left Sierra Leone with one intention: to develop Yorubaland. He civilized you. He codified our language. The Yoruba we speak today was codified by Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther. He translated the Bible, the English Bible, into Yoruba language. He compiled our Yoruba dictionary and wrote the history of the Yoruba people. This was the man who developed Yorubaland. He developed us. When he came back from slavery, he was based in Sierra Leone, Freetown, in Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone, let me tell the young Yoruba who are watching me, Sierra Leone is an extension of Yorubaland. Sierra Leone was founded by the Yoruba who were taken into slavery in North America and Southern America. So after they secured their freedom, they wanted to go back to their homeland. So they founded Sierra Leone. So this is similar to what people like us are doing. I've been living in London for years, but I've been talking about my homeland, the Yorubaland. Why? because London is not my ancestral home. I can never attain my full human potential living in London. I want to build Yorubaland. This was the same thing a 12-year-old captured slave, Samuel Ajayi Crowther, did in the 18th century. When he came from Sierra Leone to Yorubaland, Yorubaland was consumed in senseless war about who controls the trade route. We were fighting each other when Samuel Ajayi Crowther came from Sierra Leone. The Yoruba nation and its people pitched against one another, and an enviable nation became a war-ravaging nation. In 1877, Ibadan fought with Egba and Ijebu when Ibadan traders on their way from Port Novo with firearms were attacked by the Egba people. This gave Ekiti and Ijesha the chance to attack Ibadan. In 1878, the revolt against Ibadan rule started with the massacre of Ibadan officials in Ijesha, Igbomina, and Ekiti. This led to a war which dragged on for 16 years. Ibadan fought 5 different battles in 5 different war fronts. In the east, it faced the Ekiti Parapor under the command of Ogedengbe, the Seriki of Ijesha. In the south, Ibadan faced the Egba and Ijebu. Ilorin joined in the north. Finally, Ife joined the alliance in 1882. There had been long friction between Ife and the Oyo settler at Modakeke. The people who are in Modakeke today are originally from Oyo. They have always been fighting each other for quite a while. This animosity was strengthened by the war during which Ife itself was sacked by the Modakeke and their Ibadan allies. Modakeke was sacked by the Ife and the Ekiti. The main action of the war, however, took place in the northeast. The Ibadan and Ekiti Parapor forces faced each other at Kiriji, a few miles east of Ikiran. What is responsible for this war? The Yoruba were fighting. The Yoruba were killing each other. Ibadan was fighting with Egba and Ijebu people. It was fighting with Ekiti and Ijesha people. Ilorin joined and everybody was fighting Ibadan. This is what Samuel Ajayi Crowther came to meet. And I told you this is the man who developed Yorubaland. They were fighting over control of trade routes. This was the reason why the Yoruba were killing each other. Now, at this point, let me quickly remind the young Yoruba who are watching, because my target is you. Don't be worried that the fact that the Yoruba for 16 years war, if you use your internet, you will see that at a point in time, the English fought each other as well. Between 1642 and 1651, that was 11 years, the English were killing each other. So after they settled as brothers, as blood, then they attacked the Scottish. They enslaved them and colonized the Scottish. Then they attacked the Irish, enslaved them and colonized the Irish. But this was after they had first of all enslaved the Welsh people. So the same way the Yoruba were fighting each other for 16 years, the English fought themselves as well. So don't think this is unique to the Yoruba nation, because this is the first narration some people want to give you. It is not unique to Yoruba nation because we were blind then. So blood brothers were fighting each other. Ibadan fighting Egba and Ijebu, fighting Ekiti and Ijesha. Ife fighting Oyo. When we were blind, we are no longer blind. This man, Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther, civilized us. You go see it today. Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther visited Yorubaland for the first time, and to his astonishment, saw that Yoruba were fully involved in infighting and hunting for captives. He was emotionally let down. He went back to Sierra Leone like a proverbial ram with a moonwalk, and came back to Yorubaland better prepared to unify the broken nation. Now, Yoruba youth, let me say something to you. This was a young man that was captured at the age of 12. He was taken to Sierra Leone after securing his freedom. His only legitimate interest was to develop Yorubaland, his father's land. We now have an area on Okakanfo, right? But this guy started at the age of 23, fighting for the freedom of Yorubaland from the enslavement and servitude of the Fulani, supported by the self-serving career politicians in England. Now it is our area on Okakanfo at the age of 42. What I'm doing, I've been doing it before I turned 21. I started from my university days talking about the need for us to have regional system of government. I wrote my first book as an undergraduate, Why Nigeria is Poor. I was talking about restructuring. I wasn't even 21. But today, everybody knows me throughout Nigeria, and particularly everywhere in the world. So look at what Bishop Samuel Ajari Crowther started doing. A young man, he wanted to develop one thing, Yorubaland. So what is your challenge? You young Yoruba, you don't understand any concept. You don't know why you are poor. There's poverty everywhere. Our houses, there's no AC there, yet we are from the tropical region. In the Scottish sun, people are suffering. 200 Yoruba children die every day from sanitation-related diarrhea. Over 1,000 Yoruba women die every day from childbirth. Yet you sit your house around. You don't know why this is happening. You don't know why this problem is happening. You would rather follow the English Premier League. You would rather wear wig. When young people are taking challenges, Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò is now. He started at the age of 23. He became an Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò at the age of 42. A 23-year-old Yoruba doesn't have any clue as to why he is poor, why his school is in dilapidated state, why there are no good roads. He doesn't have a clue. Because we've been destroyed by the years of our Fulani leadership of our home nation. It is our generation to stop this. We will stop it, believe you me. You don't believe, but I believe it. So this is what Samuel Ajari Crowther did. When he came to Yoruba and we were fighting each other, he was emotionally let down. And he went back to Sierra Leone. You know what he did? He hired a ship, put all his people there, his member of staff who were working for him. He said, I am heading home. Where is his home? Yorubaland. His home is not Nigeria. So on his way coming, he was arrested by the British Empire surveillance military ship that were put in the Atlantic Ocean to monitor piracy and slave haulage. So they misconstrued his ship for slave ship. So he was arrested and imprisoned. All of his people were captured and shipped back to Sierra Leone for trial in a military court in Freetown. At the end of the day, they were all free after many months of deliberation to ascertain if they were connected with slavery. Folks, he wasn't dejected. He wanted to civilize his homeland. He wanted to develop Yorubaland. He was arrested, put in prison for months. After trial, he was found not guilty. So if it were other people, he would have given up. No, he said no. This is what he said, and I'm going to tell you. After setting him free with others, he was dejected. They asked him why. He said, I have got a vision for mission that God obligated me to develop Yorubaland. That was a young Samuel Ajari Crowther. He said he had a vision with a mission to develop Yorubaland. The only way you can develop Yorubaland at that point in time was to codify our language, because we don't have any written language down. We don't have any alphabet. There was nothing. So he saw Yoruba fighting each other, killing each other. He said, I have a vision with a mission from God to develop Yorubaland. They asked him, what is that vision? He said, they asked him how he's going to do it. He says he's going to spread the gospel in his fatherland, Yorubaland. Pastor Adeboye is not thinking about the collective interest of the Yoruba people, even though he's first and foremost a Yoruba man. Samuel Ajari Crowther, he said he has a vision with a mission to develop Yorubaland. They asked him how is he going to do it. He said he's going to use this gospel because he's a Christian. Bishop Oyedepo is not talking now. He's not using the connection. I expected Daddy Gio and people like Bishop Oyedepo to take advantage of the fact that President Trump is a Christian, to speak to him. Myself and few of our members are negotiating, having informal relationship with Mr. Trump administration. I'm seriously trying to lobby to meet him, even if it's going to be for 10 minutes. It's somebody I respect so much. This is what Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther did for the Yoruba nation. When he got to Yorubaland, the first thing he did is to restructure the Yoruba language, codify a new Yoruba dictionary, and to translate the English Bible into Yoruba. That is the milestone or the turnaround that changed Yorubaland for good. So if you are talking about the man who civilized us, if you are talking about the man who brought development into Yorubaland, it is Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther. This is an unsung hero of the Yoruba. He codified your language. He gave us the Yoruba that we speak today. So that is why it is easy for Oni of Ife to speak Yoruba. Alafin will understand. So when Alafin speaks Yoruba, the Oba of Lagos will understand. Akari Goremo will understand. Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther civilized us. He developed Yorubaland. He used Oyo Yoruba language as standard. But today, the Yoruba we speak is Lagos Yoruba accent and has since supplanted the Oyo Yoruba accent. You know what this short story is all about? You know what this is all about? I'm speaking directly to the young Yoruba. You don't have to be called to duty before you speak or take action on behalf of your people. You don't have to be called or speak before you take action on behalf of your people. Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò, when he was 23, nobody called him. Fulani were killing us. Fulani were in power. In 1993, after Abiola won the election, Fulani controlled the military, they controlled the presidency, they controlled the National Assembly, they controlled all the intelligence. But a 23-year-old Gani Adam said, no, I'm going to fight for my people. He stood the test of time. Today is Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò. He's in charge of the military of the Yoruba nation at its 23-year-old boy. A 12-year-old Samuel Ajayi Crowther was taken by European slave raiders, was taken to Freetown as a slave with his entire village, his brothers, sisters, and mother, every one of them. But he never gave up on his fatherland, Yorubaland. The moment he secured his freedom, he traveled straight down to Yorubaland. He codified our language to unify us as a race, to unify us as a nation. Folks, we have to respect this man. This man has not been respected enough. This is the man that civilized us. This is the man that developed Yorubaland. Now, let me now tell you one thing that is extremely important. So when he left Sierra Leone, he did not choose to develop Sierra Leone, one, because Sierra Leone wasn't his father's land. Even though Sierra Leone was founded by the Yoruba people, he still went ahead to develop his fatherland. Now, this is one unique thing he did after he civilized the Yoruba nation. Do you know the next thing he did? He sat down and said, I am going to civilize other people. He went to Igbo land. He gave them Christianity. He codified their language. The Igbo language that the Igbos speak today was given to them by the Yoruba nation. The Christianity in Igbo land today, we gave it to them. The Yoruba civilized the Igbo. This is what self-preservation is all about. This is sometimes when you see American government, the British government, giving stipend of their money to developing nations as aids, after they have taken care of their own people. After Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther civilized the Yoruba nation, developed the Yoruba nation, he looked at the Igbo and see them as still being crude. He gave them their language. He translated the English Bible into Igbo. He codified their language. The book he wrote for them is called Isioma Igbo Primer. It has 17 pages with Igbo alphabet, word, phrases, sentence patterns, the Lord's Prayer, and the Ten Commandments. He also translated the Bible into Igbo language. This is what self-preservation is all about. The moment he secured his freedom, he did not go to Igbo land. He went straight to Yorubaland, developed Yorubaland, and then saying, where are the other crude people I need to civilize? But the Igbo has never given credit to this man. So whatever you do for the Igbo, they show no appreciation whatsoever. I have written 4 books in my life. 4 books. In all of my books, after I have written the manuscript, I will give them to an editor who is going to help to correct my English, because English is not my mother tongue, and because I'm not an expert in English. So after the editor has done his or her work, then we can take the book to the publisher. But my name will be put there as the author. But do you know what the Igbo are saying? Even though Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther civilized them, even though he gave them Christianity, even though he gave them the Igbo language, the Igbo, as cunning as they are, as ungrateful as they are, they will never give credit to Samuel Ajayi Crowther. They said that it was one Igbo man who taught him. Stupid people. That's what I'm going to call them, because you need to show appreciation if you receive anything fantastic. The Yoruba civilized the Igbo. The Yoruba gave the Igbo Christianity. The Igbo language, even though I cannot speak it, even though I cannot write it, it was the Yoruba nation that gave it to the Igbo. If you cannot respect us for what we have done, believe you me, we will chase you out of our homeland. This generation I'm talking about. I'm going to expose the fact that these Igbo people, they have benefited so much from Yorubaland, but they have never supported us politically. They have never supported the Yoruba political interest. They have always been supporting the Hausa Fulani. Tonight you're going to know. We civilized them, so we have to remind them that we gave you your language. So after Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther died, his son took over from him. His grandson took over from where he stopped. The grandson's name was Olayinka Abat Macaulay. He was the grandson of Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther. You know, Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther has already civilized the Yoruba nation. The responsibility of his grandson was to send the English colonial talk away from Yorubaland. Folks, you need to know this, because our own generation have a new responsibility. We will take over our resources from the Hausa Fulani and we will go to war. Believe you me, we are going to go to war. Hausa Fulani people are being supported by the self-serving career politician in England. It is the English that are propping up the radical Islamic Fulani. That is why we need the support of President Trump. Folks, Yoruba, don't be gullible. Stop calling President Trump racist. It's not racist. It's thinking about the self-interest of the white Americans. First and foremost, I'm thinking about the interest of the Yoruba nation. That's the exact thing Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther did. He civilized the Yoruba nation, codified our language, and said, okay, where else do they need my service? And he did the same thing for the Igbo. But the Igbo have never shown any appreciation to this man. And we are going to stop helping you, to the Igbo. We will stop helping you. My generation is going to end it, believe you me. The attention of Olayinka Abat Macaulay was different from his grandfather. He was more interested in the abolition of European slavery and colonialism in Yorubaland. He was an opponent of British rule in Yorubaland. You understand? As a reaction to the claims the British that they were governing with the true interest of the Yoruba native at heart, Abat Macaulay wrote, and I'm going to quote, because the English, when he challenged the English, he said to them, look, this is not your country. You can't come and enslave us. You can't come and dictate to us. The English responded to him and said that they are ruling the Yoruba with the true interest of the Yoruba native at heart. This was the response of Abat Macaulay. He said, the dimension of the true interest of the Yoruba native at heart are algebraically equal to the length, breadth, and depth of the white man's pocket. That's the challenge Abat Macaulay said to the English colonial thugs. He said to them that you are not helping the Yoruba nation. You are using our resources to build England, and I'm going to stop you. When I said in one of my videos that Nigeria is a shithole because the English have always been supporting the Hausa Fulani radical Islamists. People said that, you don't say that, you don't say that. You have to learn from what your ancestors have done. The English are more civilized than the Fulani. They are more sophisticated. They are more developed than the Fulani. But my ancestor, Olayinka Abat Macaulay, my ancestor, Samuel Ajayi Crowther, confronted them and defeated them. So what are you telling me, that I should not stop them controlling my resources? And I keep telling this to the Yoruba people. There are 42,000 Yoruba who lives in England and Wales, who were born outside England and Wales. In Yorubaland, I'm not talking about Nigeria. In Yorubaland, we have 27,000 English who are living in our homeland. They are working in our foreign exchange market, financial and capital market, our shipping. They are controlling our shipping. They are controlling our oil and gas. In their country, what kind of job do you do? You take care of their disabled people. You take care of their old people. You wash their toilets. You do car park attendant. You go to their hospitals and clean their hospitals. Yet you have qualitative education than the English who are living in Yorubaland. And I'm telling you, it is the English who are using the Fulani to control the resources of the Yorubaland. You don't want us to talk about that. Olayinka but Macaulay confronted them. He said the English were using Yoruba resources to build England, and he doesn't want them to do it anymore. He wants them out of Yorubaland. Today we're still saying the same thing. We're still saying the same thing. You think Fulani have? Can't you see the character of Buhari? Buhari age mate is General Alani Akinade. If both of them should go to the United Nations, you will see that they have different qualities. General Alani Akinade is superior to Fulani in all ramifications, but Fulani is the best. Buhari is the best the Fulani can produce. Look at Atiku. Can you compare Atiku and Tinubu? If Tinubu should speak at the United Nations with Atiku, you will see the difference. The Yoruba are well sophisticated, but because you have fear in you, the young Yoruba, we have slaves everywhere in North America and across Europe, and even in our own homeland. I am going to stop it. My generation is going to stop it. Believe me, we will fight. That was what Macaulay wrote when the English said that they have the true interest of the Yoruba native at heart, and they have the right to govern us. Macaulay said, no, you are only interested in using the Yoruba resources for your own development in your country. In 1908, he exposed the English corruption in the handling of railway finances. You know, I said some time ago that the English colonized Yorubaland for 200 years. Throughout the 200 years the English colonized us, there was nothing like television station, there was nothing like skyscraper, there was nothing like free education, there was nothing like free healthcare, there was absolutely nothing. For 200 years the English colonized the Yoruba nation. But under 9 years of our premiership of Yorubaland, he provided everything I've just mentioned. So in 1908, the Yoruba people contributed money to build railways. The English took it away to go and build railway in England. That's what they did. Abat Macaulay challenged them. You see, the responsibility of Abat Macaulay's grandfather was different from what Abat Macaulay is fighting. Abat Macaulay's grandfather fought to civilize the Yoruba nation. He fought to unify the Yoruba nation. He gave us the Yoruba language you and I speak today. He codified it. He gave us our proverbs, our alphabet, everything. His grandson's responsibility was to chase away the English from Yorubaland. Our own generation will have a new responsibility. We will go to war, believe you me, whether you like it or not. I have the support of so many Yoruba in the Nigerian Armed Forces, in the police, who have pledged allegiance to go to war because we will control our resources. Let me quickly tell you this. Theresa May recently said that the English voted for Brexit in order for them to control their resources. Yet, they have an ambassador in Nigeria who will open his stupid mouth and say that Nigeria cannot break. The Yoruba cannot control their resources. Can you imagine that stupidity? When in their own country, they opted out of the European Union in order for them to control their resources. We are now saying, the young Yoruba are saying, we are going to get Yoruba out of Nigeria so that we can control our ports, so that we can control our waterways, we can control our revenue, we can control everything in Yoruba, because the Fulani are controlling it through the English. And the ambassador in Nigeria is talking rubbish, and you don't want to speak up. You are afraid. If you are afraid of anything, you will never attain success. You will never attain greatness. People who are bold to speak truth to power have always achieved greatness. Believe you me. Go and check the course of history. So that was how he exposed the English in 1908. They were using the taxes paid by the Yoruba to build railway to develop their own country. So in 1919, he argued successfully for the Yoruba chiefs whose land had been taken by the British in front of the Privy Council in London. You see, what the British did is I'm going to come back to something that is very important. The British took the Yoruba chiefs' lands and said they are ruling with the true intention of the Yoruba native. So Samuel Olayinka Abat Macaulay, he went to court He went to court in London and challenged the British, saying you cannot take Yoruba's land. It belongs to them. Do you know what happened? As a result, the colonial government was forced to pay compensation for the Yoruba chiefs, and their lands were returned back to them. Folks, in 1978 or thereabout, Mr. Obasanjo, a very stupid you said, but somebody that Yoruba, you should just fucking blow his head off. He took away Yorubaland in 1978 in his land use act. He took away your land. That is why today, at Papa Wolf, if you go there, 90% of its member of staff are Hausa Fulani. If you go to Tinkerport, 90% of the people working there are Hausa Fulani. If you go to Lagos International Airport, it is under Hausa Fulani. If you go everywhere in Yoruba, has been taken over by Hausa Fulani because of Obasanjo took away our lands. But when the British tried that nonsense, in 1919, Olayinka Abatmakoli challenged them to court, and our lands were returned back to us with compensation. No soul has been able to challenge Obasanjo land use act since 1978 because Fulani controls the gun. Folks, let me quickly say this to you. I saw a video recently that some people sent to me in which some Yoruba boys in Lagos were using stone to fight the police who has AK-47. When I watched it, I wanted to post it, but I just decided not to. You are very stupid. All of you Yoruba who are using stone in 2018 to fight police with AK-47, you are very stupid and you are going to die a useless death. People who has gun, you need superior firepower to fight them. You can fight them with the same gun they are holding or something like a drone. We don't have submarine now. Of course, we don't know, but drone is very common. You can easily get that and fight them. Why will you be fighting people with stone? In 1963, the Yoruba youth of that era were fighting police and the army with stone when Awolowo was in prison by Tafawa Balewa and Azik. 14,528 Yoruba youth were killed because they were so stupid, fighting police and army with stone. Between 1993 and 1998, during the June 12 crisis, the Yoruba youth of that era were fighting Hausa Fulani army, Hausa Fulani police with stone. 16,000 of you were fucking killed. In 2018, you're still fighting police with stone. You are stupid. You need gun. Idiots. Fighting police with stone. You need gun. You need drone. You don't have to wait for our instruction to get guns. Fulani S-men are killing you everywhere. Buhari opened his mouth saying that he's going to now try to curtail them, and you believe them. You don't know the psychology of the Fulani. They hit you and stop for a while. They start again. They have been killing the Igbo since 1945, in case you don't know. They have been doing this nonsense for years. It is time for us to take Yorubaland out of Nigeria for peace and progress. So to all the young Yoruba who were throwing stone at police, you are crazy. Our parents were doing the same thing. So can't you learn? I'm using smartphone. In 1976, there was nothing like smartphone. Even in 1993, we don't even have anything like smartphone. So in 1963, our parents were using stone to fight the police. 14,528 of them were killed. In 1993 to 1998, during June 12, we were still using stone. Idiot, you are using stone to fight the police in 2018. That's not what we're calling you for. You need weapon to fight for your freedom. Nobody fight with your fists or stone. No. So, folks, in 1919, when the British took away Yoruba lands, we went to court. Olayinka Abatmakoli went to court and challenged them. He went to court in London. He left Yoruba and traveled down to London and challenged them in court. Our lands were returned back to us. We were even compensated. Obasanjo took away all the Yoruba land since 1978. No one has challenged him in court. No one has challenged the federal government. That's why Fulani S-men are saying we want cattle colony because Obasanjo took away your land. Obasanjo took away your land. Let me tell you what happened in 1923. Olayinka Abatmakoli in 1923, after he challenged the British government because they've taken Yoruba land and the land were returned to the Yoruba and were paid. He then rallied around the people In 1923, Olayinka Macaulay founded the first political party in Yorubaland. The first political party in Nigeria was founded in Yorubaland. The political party was called the Nigerian National Democratic Party, NNDP. The party won all the seats in the elections in 1923, 1928, and 1933 in Lagos. The party continued to dominate the politics in Lagos until 1938, when the Nigerian Youth Movement, formed by Professor Eyoita, overtook it in election. So after these guys started, you see, you need to follow this history. Samuel Ajayi Crowther codified Yoruba language. He developed Yoruba language. His grandson took things off from where his father stopped. He challenged the English, saying that they have no legitimate claim to rule over Yorubaland. When the English took away some Yorubaland, he went to court. He challenged them. Our lands were returned back to us, and we were even paid. We were compensated. After that, he now thought in his head, okay, let me fight for independence for the Yoruba people. That was his state of mind. Like his father, his grandfather rather, he left the alone to develop Yorubaland. After he developed Yorubaland, he went to help the Igbo. He did not go to Igbo land first. He came to his fatherland first. Now, look at Abat Macaulay. He helped the Yoruba to take back our land from the English colonial tours. After that, he said, okay, if I can do this, I can get independence for everybody in Yorubaland. We can send the English away. So in 1923, he founded a political party, the Nigerian National Democratic Party. That political party was the first in Nigeria, and it won election in 1923, 1933, and 1923, 1928, and 1933. And he won election. But by 1938, there was another sheriff in town. A new political party was formed, Nigerian Youth Movement, by Professor Eyoita. That was the political party our Orisha, the late Chief Obafemi Awolowo, joined. He joined the Nigerian Youth Movement in 1938. Do you know the age of Awolowo in 1938? He was a small boy. But all the young Yorubas, they are following English Premier League. They are wearing wig. All our girls have turned prostitutes. People are sleeping with them with 10,000 naira, 15,000 naira. Because Hausa Fulani have fucking destroyed everything. But we will reshape the course of history. Our generation will now have a new mandate. We will be very brutal. We will be very, very brutal. Believe you me. We have been born into degradation. They've taken everything away from us. Free education, free health care, good road, qualitative health care, everything. We don't even have food to eat. We were born into degradation, and we will show you we are going to be very, very brutal. So this is the organization, the political party that was founded in 1938. Awolowo rose to become the Western Provincial Secretary of the Nigerian Youth Movement. So to promote democracy in Nigeria, Olayinka Macaulay rallied around nationalist parties, cultural groups, and cultural association and labor movement, and formed the National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons in 1944. I hope folks are listening. I'm talking about the Igbo tonight. And I said, Igbo are a clear and present danger in Yorubaland. I'm getting back to them now, folks. You're going to listen. So you relax, because I'm talking based on research, because that's my specialization. That's my specialization. I have seen some of them abusing me, but I'm not really bothered. So in 1944, Abat Macaulay founded another political party. He called it National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroon, NCNC, in 1944, because he wanted to use that platform to send the English colonial thugs out of Nigeria. His interest was originally to send them out of Yorubaland. Now it's not focused on Nigeria. Abat Macaulay was the first president of the NCNC, while Zik was its first secretary. Unfortunately, folks, in 1946, Macaulay fell ill and later died in Lagos. May his soul continue to rest in peace. That was when the problem started, folks. That was when the Igbo started their problem. They are responsible for the nonsense that is currently going on in Nigeria, and I'm going to tell you. Abat Macaulay founded NCNC political party in 1944. He was the president. He died in 1946, and that was when Zik took over. Zik became the president in 1946. Remember Professor Ayoita, who founded the Nigerian Youth Movement, the political party Awolowo joined. Professor Ayoita became the deputy president to Azikiwe in NCNC. So all the political parties in Nigeria were members of the NCNC. It was founded by a Yoruba man. But he died 2 years after he founded that political party. Zik became the president. That was when the Igbo destroyed everything. You will see tonight. You will see. I talk based on research. You go and find this research yourself. Because I'm a Yoruba man, you understand? And I'm well educated. So everything I'm saying, you can cross-check. They're in the open. It's a public knowledge. On Saturday, June 25, 1949, folks, remember, Azikiwe became the president after the death of Olayinka Abat Macaulay in 1946. Azikiwe was appointed the president of NCNC. But on Saturday, June 5th, 1949, at the Igbo State Assembly held in Aba, Nnamdi Azikiwe calls on the Igbo to take over the political leadership of Nigeria. He specifically said, and I will quote him, he said, the manifest destiny of the Igbo is to lead all other ethnic groups in Nigeria. That was the beginning of the problem. A Yoruba founded the party. He died 2 years after. An Igbo man in person of Zik was made the president. And 3 years after, he was talking rubbish, saying that the manifest destiny of the Igbo is to rule over other ethnic groups in Nigeria. That was 11 years before Nigeria independence. That was when Zik started talking that rubbish, because he was just an ordinary president of a political party. By the way, the only political party in Nigeria then. And in the usual Igbo clannish style, Zik turned a Hintoto pan-Nigeria political party into an Igbo political party. It was the old party with new color that sought to now dominate the politics of Lagos, Ibadan, and other western regions. Folks, because Zik made the NCNC party an exclusive party for the Igbo, Professor Ayoita is an Efik Ibibio man. Who was the deputy to Zik? He left the party because of Zik's statement and founded another party called the National Independence Party. At this point, let me quickly add something here for the young Yorubas. You know, I think 2017, last year, the young people in Nigeria were asking the National Assembly to allow independent party. Is that not so? Yeah, that was the case. But we have always had independent candidates. We have always had independent candidates since 1951. Everything, Fulani took it away from us. Through Obasanjo, the horrible man. He's now speaking. He's now speaking and saying that there should be a coalition for Nigeria. You know Obasanjo Smith, the former president of America, Jimmy Carter. Do you still hear Jimmy Carter speaking in anywhere? This horrible Obasanjo is over 80 years. Horrible man. He destroyed Yorubaland. He's still opening his mouth, still talking. Jimmy Carter is mate. He's not talking. You remember this young man, former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, David Cameron. He promised Scottish referendum in 2014. He said if the Scottish voted to leave the UK, he would resign as Prime Minister. The vote was counted and the no campaign won. So he remained as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. In 2015, he promised a referendum for the British people to decide whether they want to remain part of the European Union or not. And he said if he loses, he will resign. He lost. He resigned. The man is doing something else now. Where is Gordon Brown, the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom? He's doing his own business now. He's focusing on something. He's not speaking again. Tony Blair is gone. So many people are gone. All the former president of the United States of America, they are busy doing one thing or the other now. But this horrible, hopeless Obasanjo, who was a deputy president in 1975, who was head of state in 1976, who has served 3 terms, is still talking at his age. When people like us should be speaking for the interests of the Yoruba nation. It's horrible, man. Because it's not Yoruba, a natural Yoruba will have kept quiet, will not be talking again. He's still talking. All his mates are retired, doing something else. Ordinary young man. I think David Cameron should be around 45, 46. He's no longer talking. He lost an election, he resigned. Obasanjo brought Shagari, a terrible, very stupid man. Illiterate. A stark illiterate. Shagari was a stark illiterate. He's a stark illiterate. He brought Yaradua. That one was doing rubbish. Completely. He brought Buhari, yet he's saying he's forming a national coalition. Somebody that should be ashamed. David Cameron, a prime minister, young English prime minister, he promised a referendum. He said if he loses, he's going to resign. He lost, he resigned. No one is hearing anything from him. Again, Obasanjo brought Buhari. He's still opening his stupid mouth, saying that there is a coalition. They should form a horrible man because it's not a Yoruba man. To buy a true Yoruba ni. Otu mama tini mama gbe àwọn grandchildren there. Lossy Park. The stupid man is still talking on behalf of the Yoruba people. He's still talking on behalf of Nigeria. His age mate here, Jimmy Carter. Anybody hearing anything from Jimmy Carter in America? Because these are white folks. They do their times. They just go and sit down and do something else. Obasanjo doesn't have any response, anything doing other than to be in presidency, to be talking every now and then, here and there, moving about. Hopeless man. I said in my video that if this guy had been a white American and he has done all the atrocity he has done against the white American that he has done to the Yoruba, white American youth will have exterminated him. Hopeless, stupid old man. He's the idiot. He brought this miserable Buhari. He lobbied Obama, he lobbied John McCain, he lobbied Hillary Clinton, he lobbied the UK government to impose Buhari on us. It is because this guy is just a very weak man, Jonathan, very fearful. He doesn't want to die. That's why Buhari became president. People keep telling me, I don't think you understand the Yoruba. To about wake up Yoruba youth. To about Yoruba. It's just that Yoruba youth have been gullible for far too long. So difficult that the wake one up. Obasanjo is still talking. His age mate, Jimmy Carter, Tony Blair, nobody is talking because they are white, very decent. Black people are stupid people. He's still talking. He's still talking. He left in 2007. 2018, about 11 years ago. The horrible Obasanjo is still opening his mouth to speak. He's still opening his mouth. Somebody that was head of state in 1976. Let other people be talking. Let young Yoruba be speaking. You should go and keep quiet. So, folks, let's just continue. These are irresponsible people. Irresponsible people. He's been there for years. He's still opening his mouth. He's talking rubbish. So that was what happened. In 1949, Zik went to Aba and said that the manifest, he said the manifest destiny of the Igbo is to rule over other ethnic groups in Nigeria. Professor Eyoita, his deputy, had that speech and resigned. He left the party to form his own political party. Eyoita is an FETB man. Awolowo was part of the same group. He had that. And in 1951, Awolowo formed Action Group. 2 years after Zig's speech. That was it. The Action Group contested against the well-established NCNC party and defeated it on all fronts to form the self-government of the Western region of Nigeria in 1951. It took Mandela 27 years in prison to send white men from other lands from ruling black South Africa. Under few days, Awolowo rallied around the Yorubas and sent away Zik from another land from ruling the Yoruba nation. The Igbo will call Mandela action a hero. They will call Awolowo a tribalist, idiot. Mandela sent away white English and Netherlands from ruling South Africa. It took him 27 years. Awolowo sent away Zik under few days from ruling over Yorubaland. You call the action of Mandela a heroic action. You call the action of Awolowo tribalism. Are you not out of your brain? You must be so stupid. The English are human beings too. So because they are white, because they are white, it is good for black Mandela to send him away from South Africa. But it is not good for black Awolowo to send away black Zik from ruling Yoruba. You must be out of your mind. I keep saying it is not the color of our skin that makes us the same nationality. It is your language. It is your tradition, culture, norms, and value system. The Yoruba don't have any of this with the Igbo. What we have is different from the Igbo. What we have is different from the Hausa Fulani. That we are black doesn't make us the same nationality. So folks, you just get it in your head. Now let me just tell you about this Western region election. Because most of the time, you see stupid Igbo youth saying that Zik won the election. Zik did not win the election. Zik did not win. You can go and read Zik autobiography, Maudesi, and then you read Ganiyu Daudu's book, Hawo or Zik, who won the 1951 election. Go and read it. The results are there. Even in Zik book, the results are clearly there. Action Group defeated NCNC, even though it was formed. You know, Action Group was formed in 1951. Election was conducted in 1951. Yet Action Group won. Action Group was created because Zik in 1945 and 1949 said that the manifest destiny of the Igbo was to rule over other in Yorubaland. That was why Zik deputy Eyo Ita resigned and formed his own political party. Because he's an ethnic Igbo man. He said, no, Igbo cannot rule over me. He created his own political party. Awolowo left also and said Igbo cannot rule over the Yoruba. He created Action Group. It is legitimate. Igbo messed up the pan-Nigerian political party system because they want to control all others. I'm going to show you more. At the end of their election, at the end of the election in 1951, the standing of the party was as follows. Action Group had 38 seats. NCNC, 24. Look, let me tell you, NCNC was founded by a Yoruba man. So the Yoruba were still voting for him, even though Zik had already turned it into Igbo party. But the Yoruba were still voting for NCNC. So NCNC had 24 seats in Western region. Ibadan People's Party had 6. And Ondo Improvement League had 2 seats. Otu-Edo in Edo is a political party in Edo, had 3. And independent candidates were 7. So you remember, you see now, in 1951, we had independent candidate contesting for election. It has been taken away from by Hausa Fulani. In 2017-18, we are still asking the National Assembly to give us independent, to allow independent candidates to contest election. When the independent candidates have been contesting the election since 1951, Nigeria is a shithole. Thanks to President Trump. It's a shithole. It is the English who made it a shithole, and they are still responsible for that. So that was the result after the election. According to Zik in his autobiography titled My Odyssey, he stated, and I'm going to quote him, he stated that the NCNC was under the impression that he had won 43 seats out of 80, but 20 of the legislators whom they regarded as member, supporter, or sympathizers aligned themselves with the Action Group. He thought that the NCNC had won 43 seats, but in actual fact, it was only 23 before another one was added that make it 24. Awolowo Party, the Action Group, defeated NCNC. Even though NCNC was established by a Yoruba man, Awolowo Party was established in 1951, and a few months after the party was established, it went straight into an election. It defeated a party that has been established since 1944. You have to give credit to the brain and ingenuity of late Chief Obafemi Awolowo. You have to be like him, folks. He's a very smart politician. But I'm going to tell you what the Igbo did to him. You're going to see it tonight. So at the end of the election, out of the 80 seats, Action Group won 38, NCNC won 24, candidate of other party who aligned with the Action Group won 15 seats. and while other colleagues who went with the NCNC were 3 in numbers. This brings the total to Action Group 53 seats, NCNC 27 seats on all the overall result. So Awolowo defeated NCNC in Yoruba Western region. We defeated the Igbo. So Dr. Nwandike, who was writing rubbish in 1989, saying that Zik won the election, is just stupid. In Zik book, he said that they lost. Now, at this point, let me just tell you one thing that is personal to me. You see, the two candidates from the Ondo Improvement League, they supported Action Group. They supported Action Group based on my grandfather's address to them, because my grandfather was a king. He said to them in Yoruba, while he was canvassing, that they should support Awolowo so that a foreigner will not rule over Yoruba. He said, and I'll quote in Yoruba, he said, Odo toba toju enikun, eni lo tingbe. That if the Yoruba should make a mistake and allow a foreigner to rule over them, they will regret it for the rest of their life. So that was why the candidate from the Ondo Improvement League supported Action Group. It is a part of it. I hold that history so dear to me. That's what my grandfather did. And then I'm very proud that he was pro-Yoruba to the core. And then because I don't go to church, my mother always reminded me that my grandfather founded Anglican Church, that I should go to church because my grandfather founded the church before he died. So that's just a personal history about myself. You see, the Ibadan People's Party, Ondo Improvement League, an independent candidate from Lagos who have won their seats, voted along the Action Group to give Awolowo the majority in the Western Regional House of Assembly. So we defeated you, Igbo. And then let me tell you, the 27 seats you had in Yorubaland were not Igbo candidates, they were Yoruba. So don't come around and be saying blindly that Awolowo, it was Zik who won the election in 1951. You did not win. It was because of the speech of Zik in 1949 that where he said that the manifest destiny of the Igbo is to rule over other ethnic groups in Nigeria. That was what caused the disagreement and disaffection in NCNC. The Efik people, they went away and created their own party. The Yoruba left the NCNC and created Action Group, and we defeated you. It took Mandela 27 years to send away men from another country from ruling them. It took Awolowo a few days to send away men from Igbo land from ruling Yorubaland. So you have to give credit to that man. So it's a great man. So don't call Awolowo action tribalism while you are praising Mandela. No, you don't. It doesn't work like that, folks. It doesn't work like that. So that was the election of 1951. It was won hands down by Action Group, not by NCNC. If you want to challenge that, go and read book. Go and read Zik book. It's there. Go and read this book by Alhaji Daudu, Hawo or Zik, who won the 1955 Western Region election. You go and do it. I've read some of this. I've read it. Now let me tell you something that happened in 1957. Now you've seen that it is the Igbo that caused the disagreement between Yoruba and Igbo. And then they caused disagreement with Efik as well. Because Professor Eyoita left NCNC, even though he was the deputy to Zik, he left and formed a new party because Zik said the Igbo manifest destiny is to rule over others. It is the same thing the Fulani have been saying that they are born to rule. That was the exact thing Zik said in 1949, that the Igbo are born to rule. Awolowo ya dànù kúrò ńbẹ̀, àwọn ọmọ Efik Igbo náà wọ́n ya dànù kúrò ńbẹ̀, wọ́n fi gbogbo party yẹn lẹ̀ fún Igbo. So this is what happened in 1957. In 1957, the British colonial Tog, I'll call them government now, just to respect them, because I call them Tog. You see, there's so many things I've coined. When I was young, I always hear British, our colonial master. So some people left their country to come and enslave you, to come and take your resources from you, to come and send your people into slavery in North America and South America. You call them master. They are Togs. So that's why I constantly call them the English colonial talk. Sometimes I call them the British colonial talk. I use them interchangeably. So in 1957, when the British colonial government, under intense pressure from southern politicians pressing for independence, attempted to divide Nigeria between the north and south, forged together by Lord Lugard Amalgamation of 1914. When the offer of independence to the three regions individually provided, any two accepted the offer, a political crisis loomed large at the national horizon. So this is what happened is that in 1957, Awolowo and his action will say to the British colonial government that we want to go, we want independence, we don't want you to rule us again. The Northerners saying they are not ready. They are fighting. So you know what happened? The English colonial government went to the east, to the Igbo, and asked them, which one do you want? Do you want independence in 1957, or you want to tally a war? I will tell you what the Igbo did in 1957. It is in the history. Because you don't read it, you think I'm manufacturing this from my head. And let me give an impression to the young Yorubas. There is nothing exceptional with me. I read. A reader is a leader. That's why everybody is looking up to me. If I'm going to pop and running after girls, like some of you do, I won't have this idea. But I've been reading since age 15. I've been thinking about the Yoruba nation. So I have all of these ideas in my head. I just have the platform to express myself. There's nothing exceptional with me. If you read through as well, you will have this information and you will want to work for the development of your race, for the development of your own nation. Our nation is Yorubaland, not Nigeria. Not Nigeria. So the Northern region led by Ahmadu Bello, Northern People Congress, took the position that the North was not ready for independence. They said to the British, we're not ready for independence in 1957. Awolowo said, I'm ready. I don't want you to rule my people anymore. We can rule ourselves. But the Hausa Fulani said they are not ready. It was the Igbo-led NCNC that held the balance. It was an issue that could make or break Nigeria if the three regions choose to go their separate ways to independence. The NCNC leader, Nnamdi Azikiwe, took the stand that the eastern region would rather suppress its appetite for independence until the northern region was ready for independence. According to Nnamdi Azikiwe, this was to avoid the balkanization of Nigeria nation and conceivably a breakup of the country. Can you imagine that? Zik was thinking one thing. You know, he made a speech in 1949. He said that the manifest destiny of the Igbo is to rule over others in Nigeria in 1949. So in 1957, when the British asked the Igbo, do you want your separate independence? Since the North is not ready, Zik said he would rather wait. How can a woman being, you have been enslaved by the English colonial government, and the English colonial government are now saying that I want to give you freedom. You are saying, I will wait for others before I get. Is it possible for somebody who has been enslaved to do that? No, that's not a natural course of action. But Zik was targeting one thing, to rule the Yoruba, particularly Lagos, and rule everybody in Nigeria. Because he said it in 1959, that the manifest destiny of the Igbo is to rule over Yoruba and Hausa Fulani and everybody in Nigeria. So you have somebody who have left his own country to enslave you in your own country, and then he's not saying to you, when do you want me to free you? You are not saying, I will wait for 3 years more. Zik was thinking about one thing, to control Lagos. Awolowo said, I'm ready in 1957. Hausa Fulani said, we're not ready for independence. Zik said, I am going to wait until Hausa Fulani are ready. But he was criminally minded. He was targeting Lagos. That was how Nigeria independence was delayed until 1960. Zik was talking about balkanization. Let me quickly define what balkanization is, folks. There are Yoruba in Togo, there are Yoruba in Benin Republic, there are Yoruba in Nigeria. That is called balkanization. Dividing Nigeria is not balkanization. Don't let anybody give you fucking bullshit. Yoruba nation has been divided into 3 different distinct countries. That is balkanization. The Yoruba in Togo, the Yoruba in Benin Republic, and the Yoruba in Nigeria should have been a nation. But we were balkanized by the English, by the French, and the German. That is what balkanization is. If we break up Nigeria, it's not balkanization. Everybody in Nigeria are different people. So Zik has his own mind. He was targeting Lagos. That was what he said in 1959. The manifest destiny of the Igbo is to rule over others. That simply means the Igbo are born to rule. Criminal guy. In short, the Igbo-led Eastern region would rather forego the advancement of its own political and economic interests than reach the breakup of Nigeria. Is it possible? Is it a natural course of action? You have been enslaved for like 200 years. The English are not telling you, we want to give you independence so that you can rule yourself. And you will now say, oh, I don't think I'm ready. I don't think I'm ready. I will wait for Mr. B to be ready too. That is not natural. That is not natural. But Zik was targeting Yoruba. He wants to control us. And I'm going to show you. If not for Zik's intention to control the Yoruba politically, by 1960, the three regions will have become separate sovereign states. It is the greediness of the Zik and Igbo. That's why Nigeria became one country. Everyone will have gone on their own. You will see, I'm going to prove it. Igbo, you continue to abuse me. I'm not. I'm saying the fact. This is history. You will see it. It's there. I read all of these things and I coupled things together from. This is history. Zik was a criminally minded man. Now, after that, so he decided to tarry a while for the Hausa Fulani to be ready before independence can be obtained, instead of him to grab it and run with it on his own. So you know what happened? In 1959, despite the massive rigging of the 1959 election by the British colonial court in favor of the Hausa Fulani, there was no clear winner. Folks, the English rigged the election of 1959. Aaron Smith said it. It's an obvious thing. See, this is not a secret. These are declassified information. The English rigged the election of 1959 for Hausa Fulani. That is it. You have to be thankful to President Trump for calling Nigeria a shithole. It is the English who made Nigeria a fucking shithole. After the election of 1959, but there was no clear winner. So nobody could form government. The Igbo living in the north had been massacred in 1945 by the Hausa Fulani in Jos. And they were also killed in 1953 in Kano. So the Yoruba decided, well, since Hausa Fulani have always been killing the Igbo, even before Nigeria independence in 1960, that it would be reasonable to form a coalition government with the Igbo. That was what the Yoruba decided in 1959. Because there was no clear winner. When there is no clear winner, you have to form a coalition. So two or more parties will have to come together to form government. So Awolowo then approached Zik and said to him, let us form a coalition government. So he said that Zik will become prime minister, while Awolowo will take the position of the finance minister. Zik rejected Awolowo's offer and instead joined Hausa Fulani party to form a coalition government and was appointed governor general. Can you see how stupid Zik could be? Well, you think he's stupid. He wasn't stupid. He was targeting Lagos. He was targeting Lagos. That was his target. Awolowo offered him the position to be prime minister. The position of the prime minister was the highest position in Nigeria, not the governor general. Don't let anybody fool you. Governor general is a figurehead. The business of government, the day-to-day running of government business was under the command and control of the prime minister. So Awolowo offered Zik the position to become prime minister while he would become the finance minister. Zik said, no, it's not going to work with you. I want to work with Hausa Fulani. Those stupid young Igbos, they will abuse you. I will tell you now, the Yoruba, we have never worked with Hausa Fulani until 2015. And the reason why we work with them is clear. It is because of what the Igbo did under Jonathan government. The Igbo have always been working with Hausa Fulani since 1960. I'm going to show you now. So they are with their stupid propaganda. You can't tell a man who is reading every day and night to take a decision based on emotion. I cannot work with the Igbo based on emotion. I'm leading Yoruba youth. You can't afford to make mistake. You can't afford to mislead people. And you're trying to force me to work with Igbo. I don't work with people. I have to look at history. I have to look at what has happened in the past. You understand? Zik rejected Awolow's offer. He would rather work with the Fulani, and they had an agreement. I'm going to tell you the agreement Zik had with the Hausa Fulani in 1951. This is going to shock you folks. So Tafawa Balewa then became the prime minister while Zik was appointed governor general. Very stupid position. He forgo. So now this is another thing you need to know. I asked you earlier, why would a man who has been enslaved for years would deny the opportunity to get his freedom? The Igbo were asked, do you want to go it alone? They said no, they don't want to go it alone. They don't want to be an independent country. They would rather wait for the Hausa Fulani. But the Yoruba were saying, we want to go alone. We don't want to be part of Nigeria. And the English said, okay. Hausa Fulani said they want to wait till 1960. Igbo said they are going to wait till 1960. So 2 versus 1. So we lose. So that was how Nigeria was created, by the greediness of Zik, an Igbo man. Again in 1959, that was what he did in 1957. In 1959, he was offered the position to become the prime minister, the highest political post in Nigeria, with Awolowo as a finance minister. He denied. He said he doesn't want to work with Awolowo. So he worked with the Fulani, Hausa Fulani, and he was offered a lower position. Can you imagine? So you would think it's stupid. It's not stupid. In 1959, he had an agreement with the Hausa Fulani, and the agreement is simple. He had an agreement that by 1964, when there is second election, the first election was 1959, so it's only for 4 years. So there will be another election in 1963-64, that after the Hausa have done one term, they will give it to the Igbo to do another term. But you know the target of Zik? The Igbo are already control the federal civil service. The Igbo have already taken over the military. So Zik was waiting for 1964 to strike. But he didn't even bother to accept Awolowo's position. Another argument why he refused to accept Awolowo's position was that as the premier of the Eastern region, he has been found to have committed, he has been found to have misappropriated some fund that this was open to the English colonial government. So they were using that to negotiate with him that, look, we have an evidence that you have committed fraud. If you don't work with Hausa Fulani, we are going to charge you to court. That was another explanation as to why he would have to refuse this position of prime minister to accept to be a governor general, a lower position. But that has not been, I cannot really confirm whether that is genuine or not. But the fact is that he refused to work with Awolowo, but he would rather work with the Hausa Fulani. Now, I will tell you, then Zik and Tafawa Balewa formed a coalition government. I will tell you the first thing they did. Young Yoruba who are watching me, we had independence in 1960, right? You will see what they did to the Yoruba people, Hausa and Igbo. The immediate action and behavior of Tafawa Balewa and Nnamdi Azikiwe in 1960, shortly after the independence of Nigeria from the British colonial power, were nothing other than criminal intent and purpose. That is their state of mind. The moment they took power in 1960, they had a criminal intention, and I'm going to explain it to you. In 1955, 4 years after the Yoruba self-rule began, the Yoruba in Ilorin and Kabad division, they were part of the northern region there. They voted in a series of referendums to be part of the western region of Nigeria. There was a referendum. There was a series of referendums conducted in 1955. The Yoruba in Ilorin and Kabad division say, we want to be part of the western region. We want to be part of our people. You know what happened? The outcome of the referendums were passed down by the departing colonial government of Britain to the coalition government of Tafawa Balewa and Nnamdi Azikiwe for implementation in 1960 after Nigeria independence. The elections was conducted in 1955. The result was very clear. The Yoruba in Ilorin and Kaba. When you talk about Ilorin and Kaba division today, you are talking about Kwara and Kogi. The Yoruba in these two areas voted to be part of the Western region. The result was then handed over to Tafawa Balewa and Zik so that they can implement, but they did not implement it. Both did not implement that result because these men were not Yoruba. They refused to allow the will of the Yoruba people in the northern region to be annexed with their kings and king in western region come to reality. They refused. So at this junction, folks, you allow me to release a declassified information by the colonial resident of the British colonial resident. This declassified information was produced in 1900. I'm going to release it now so that at the time, when you have the time, you can go and search for it. This is a declassified information from the British colonial government. It was a report written by the colonial resident officer over the Ilorin traditional stool. You will be shocked. Folks, you just have to. You see, you can't go to war when you don't know why you're fighting. When you don't know why you're fighting. And you can't be friends with people that cannot be trusted. So I'm going to share this information with you folks. I'm going to share this information with you. Just give me a couple of minutes. I'm going to share this information. It is the declassified information on Ilorin. So because I'm going to talk about Ilorin now. Oh, I'm not guessing it. It's not playing. Okay, what I'm going to do is this. It's not allowing me to do. Folks, are you going with me? Folks, it's not allowing me to do, it's not allowing me to share this. Sorry, it's a declassified colonial resident report of July 1900. But I'm going to share it as immediately after I'm through with this presentation. See, the content of that is that according to the British report of 1900, the ruler of Ilorin were Yoruba, and they are always the Balogun. The Balogun Inokojuali of the Alalamu was actually the ruler of Ilorin as far back as 1900, when the English were trying to take over Ilorin. Initially, the English were trying to take over Bida. So the ruler of Ilorin, Balogun Inokojuali, then sent Yoruba people to go and help the Bida people to defeat the English. The English were very unhappy. So the English now went to Emir Sulaiman. That was the last Fulani Emir of Ilorin. He died in 1915. You will see from this declassified report I'm going to share with you. The English now said to Emir Sulaiman that they will make him the ruler of Ilorin. Emir is just a religious head. They reign, they don't rule. The people who rule in Ilorin are the Balogun. Balogun Agba ruled Ilorin. So because Balogun Inokojualis helped the Bida people to defeat the English now work with Emir Sulaiman to make him to rule over Yoruba and Ilorin. You know what they did to Balogun Inokojuali? He was deposed and deported to Jeba. By the time all the Yoruba rallied around from all the Yoruba areas, they moved down to Jeba to show their support and ready to fight the English. The English then moved him from Jeba to Lokoja. But they couldn't do anything to him. So they had to restructure Ilorin and divided Ilorin into 18 districts and share some with the Balogun and share all with the Balogun. but they made the emir to be communicating directly with them rather than the Balogun who were ruling Ilorin. It is the English that gave Ilorin to the Fulani. The Fulani did not defeat the Yoruba. Every time you see stupid Igbo making argument that the Fulani has taken over Ilorin from, I will share you the declassified report. You will see this was produced by the University of Ilorin in their history department. Because the Yoruba youth would rather follow the English Premier League, they have no sense of history. So the Igbo will just spread propaganda all around. The last Fulani in Ilorin as the emir was Emir Sulaiman. He died in 1915. If you read the history, you will know that the Yoruba have killed 3 different Fulani emirs in Ilorin. The current emir of Ilorin is a Yoruba man. His real name is Kolapo. So I will share you the declassified report. Because when you don't read, people will take advantage of your stupidity, of your gullibility. That's why I'm telling you, Yoruba, we are so rich, I don't have to be in London, fucking wasting away. What am I doing? The English who live in Yorubaland are living better life than me, who is living in their own country. That is the same thing to all the Yoruba who lives here in England. The English who live in our homeland live a better life than us. And they don't have the kind of qualitative education we have. So the Igbo will open their mouth and say, Fulani took over Ilorin from you. Go and read history. It is the British that gifted Ilorin to the Fulani. And let me tell you something that happened at that time. When the English was preparing to go and fight the Sultan of Sokoto, Sultan of Sokoto sent a letter to the Emir Sulaiman that he needed his help for him to cause trouble in Ilorin so that the English can focus on resolving that. Before they come to Sokoto, he will have been well prepared to fight the English. By tradition, the emir has to read the letter in the open. So when the Yoruba Balogun who were ruling Ilorin heard about it, they said no, that they cannot cause crisis in Ilorin. They said no. So today, you open your mouth and say Sultan of Sokoto is controlling Ilorin. It has never been. It is because the Fulani are in military. They have taken over the military, they have taken over the intelligence, they have taken over the presidency, they have taken over the National Assembly and the judiciary. It has never been there. The Fulani did not defeat Yoruba in Ilorin. It was the English who defeated us and gave Ilorin to Emir Sulaiman. And since 1915, no Fulani has ever become Emir. The last Fulani Emir of Ilorin was Emir Sulaiman. The current Fulani Emir of Ilorin is a Yoruba man. His original name is Kolapo. Go and find out. It is the Balogun that rule in Ilorin. They deposed and deported Balogun Inokojuadi of Alalamu family. He was the one that was ruling when the English came to take over Ilorin. So who is telling you the history that the Fulani defeated us? Kanuri people defeated Fulani. The people in the Middle Belt defeated Fulani. Fulani are not strong. I'm telling you that Fulani are very crude. It is the English that is still supporting Fulani today. That's why you have Buhari there. That's why you have the herdsmen killing everybody. When the herdsmen were saying that they are going to rally around all of their people, they don't have it. The civilization they don't have, the weapon they don't have, the men they don't have. They are crude. Who's telling you Fulani ruling over Ilorin? Go and read history. I will share it with you after tonight, because I couldn't share it. Folks, if you go to my personal page, my personal page, you're going to see it there. But don't worry, I'm going to share it to you tonight. So what I was saying is that in 1955, there was a referendum in Ilorin Kaba division in which the Yoruba people who were there voted to be part of the Yorubaland, Western region. But Tafawa Balewa and Zik refused them. Zik is Igbo. Tafawa Balewa is Hausa Fulani. They refused the Yoruba in Ilorin and Kaba division to be part of the Western region. They are telling me that we are going to be in partnership with the Igbo. You must be joke because you don't know history. When you don't know history, you continue to make mistake. I'll tell you this. The Independence Nigerian First Constitution established a parliamentary democracy based on ethnic regional government. There were 3 regions in Nigeria: the northern region, the eastern region, and the western region. Folks, you may not know this today, but I'm going to tell you. 70% of Nigerian oil field were in the western region area as at the time Nigeria was created. So when we talk about western region, today Edo State, today Delta State, and today Bayelsa State were all part of the Yoruba Western region. Bayelsa State was part of Yoruba Western region. Edo State was part of Yoruba Western region. And Delta State. Everything in those states were part of Yoruba Western region. 70% of Nigerian oil field were in Yoruba region. But Zik and Tafawa Balewa don't like it. I'm showing you how criminally minded Zik was. He was a criminal, believe you me. He didn't like it. So what did they do? After refusing the Yoruba in Ilorin and Kaba division to be part of the Western region, they targeted the oil field in Yoruba Western region. Awolowo being a just man. You see, the regional system were created in 1952. This is what the Igbo, Hausa, and Yoruba negotiated with the British colonial talks. So they were created. But there was a proviso in that agreement that the minority that were in Western region, the minority that were in Eastern region, and the minority that were in Northern region will be given their separate region subsequently. That was the agreement. So in 1961, so 1 year after the British colonial talks had left, that was 1 year after independence, Awolowo at the House of Assembly raised a motion and requested that the minority in Western region, the minority in Eastern region, and the minority in Northern region be given their own regions. What a just man. He was a fine man. But Zik was a criminal, believe you me. Awolowo raised an issue. You can go in 1961, go and read it. Awolowo raised a motion that the people who are minority in Western region, who are minority in Eastern region, who are minority in Northern region, be given their separate region. What a good man. But the criminal Zik wasn't thinking like that. He wants to control others. That was why I said in 1949 that the manifest destiny of the Igbo is to rule over others in Yorubaland. That is what the present Igbo youth are still doing. The same mistake of that criminally minded Zik. So, to put the plan into action, on 29 May, Yoruba youth, I want you to note that day. Every 29th of May, that is when Hausa Fulani strike. If they want to kill anybody, if they want to fight, if they want to do anything, that is when they strike. Because that was the date. Osama, Ottoman Danfodio, that was the date he started his jihadists. May 29. That was when they started killing the Igbo. May 29. The coup, May 29. May 29, 1962, that was when they declared a state of emergency in Yoruba Western region by the government of Tafawa Balewa and Zik. Zik wanted to take over Lagos and Yorubaland for good. That was his intention since 1949. So just 2 years, it's not even up to 2 years, under 2 years, a state of emergency was declared in Western region by Tafawa Balewa. Chief Awolowo movement was restricted on 22nd of May, just because they want to take over the oil from Yoruba. Like I said 70% of the oil field in Nigeria were in Western region. You can go and confirm it. 70% of the oil field in Nigeria, as at 1960, were in Western region. So to take over this oil wealth, in 1962, Awolowo, Azikiwe, and Tafawa Balewa declared a state of emergency across Yorubaland. Then Awolowo movement was restricted. On September 22, 1962, Chief Awolowo was placed under house arrest and later charged with treason by the government of Tafawa Balewa and Zik. That was less than 2 years after the Yoruba helped to send the English away. They charged Awolowo with treason, saying that Awolowo wanted to take over government from Zik and his friend Tafawa Balewa. Awolowo Yoruba want to take over government from Hausa Fulani. Ayé yín ò ní dá. Ẹ ti bayé àwọn Yoruba jẹ́ gan. Generation wa máa gbẹ̀san. Generation ẹ̀san lélẹ́yìí. So ye generation ẹ̀san, because ẹ ti wà criminally minded you. Igbo at Hausa Fulani. Ẹ ti wà too criminally minded. So you see, it was Yoruba. Look at what Samuel Ajayi Crowther did. Look at what his grandson did, Olayinka Abat Macaulay, just to chase away the English. The moment we chase away the English, Hausa, Fulani, and Igbo team up together to put a Yoruba people who chase away the English and give freedom to the black people. They put him in prison. They charge him with prison. Under 2 years that we sent away the English. Black people, stupid people, criminally minded soul. Because Hausa, they don't have shoreline. Igbo, they don't have shoreline. They are targeting, Zik was targeting Lagos. So immediately they did that. To destroy the Western region, they imposed, Chief Akintola was foisted on the Western region government by Tafawa Balewa and Zik. The election of 1963 was won by Alhaji Dauda Adegbero, but Zik and Tafawa Balewa imposed Akintola as the premier. On June 1963, Zik and Balewa quickly separated Benin, Ishekiri, Urobo, Delta, and Ijo from the Western region and annexed them together to form the Midwest. You see, sometimes it will be shocking to you, right? When the stupid Igbo youths, they will bring out their map of Biafra and be putting Benin, Ishekiri, Urobo, Delta, and Ijo in their stupid Biafra map. But these were part of the Yoruba Western region. Benin was part of the Yoruba Western region. Ishekiri was part of the Yoruba Western region. Urobo was part of the Yoruba Western region. And Western Ijo was part of the Yoruba Western region. The stupid Igbo youths, they will bring out their stupid, criminally minded map of Biafra and put all of this area as part of their stupid imaginary Biafra. The same thing their stupid Zik was doing. He disorganized a beautiful political party that was formed. He turned it into a Igbo political party in 1949, saying the manifest destiny of the Igbo is to rule over others. That was why Ishekiri people left the party. That was why Awolowo formed Action Group in 1951. Criminally minded people. You want us to be friends. You don't want to talk about what has happened in the past. I want to trade. I don't have permanent friend. I don't want permanent enemy. I want to trade. And I'm telling people, you don't have to discriminate because somebody is white, somebody is black. You have to have a friend. Anybody that helps you in your time of need is your friend. It doesn't mean that they are black, that they are your friend. I want to work with President Trump. America has been able to build beautiful civilization. Look at their school, look at their infrastructures, their railway system. Look at their beautiful buildings. Look at their country. You work with people who are superior to you, you learn from them, and you'll be able to manage your own. You want me to be working with the people who don't? I told people, I keep telling people, during June 12, how many African countries have the Yoruba nation? Kosi, except Benin Republic and Togo, because they are part of Yorubaland. So you're asking me to be friend with Ghana. You're asking me to be friend with South Africa. South Africa that we helped during their slavery. They did not help us during June 12. I would rather work with people from the Scandinavia. In Scandinavia, they are white, right? But they helped the Yoruba during June 12. These are my friends. These are people who help you, that are your friends. When I had a problem in 2015, when I was assaulted by the stupid 2 police officers here in England, when I was assaulted, then if I do the same thing to their own citizen in my country, one, you survive it. When I was assaulted, it was the English people that were helping me. I lost my flat. They have to tell me how I'm going to get everything. But the Yoruba didn't help me. So because somebody is black, is your friend, you have to be friendly with them. It is the people who help you in your time of need that are your friend. Because somebody is black, it's not your friend. So this is what Zik and Tafawa Balewa did. They removed Benin, Ishekiri, Urobo, Delta, and Ijo from Yorubaland. They removed it from Western region and gave them Midwest. But the Birom in the north, the Tif, the Gbagi, the Junku, the Idoma, and all minority in the north were not removed from the northern region. Were not removed from the northern region. In eastern region, the Calabar, the Okota, the Rivers, the Efik-Ibibo, and others were denied a separate region too. You will know that the Hausa and the Igbo, don't forget, the Hausa and the Igbo have always been working together since 1960. The stupid Igbo youth, they will open their mouth and say to you that Yoruba work with Gambari, that's why you have Fulani. That was the first time, and it was a costly mistake. Tinubu made a very stupid, silly mistake to have worked with Buhari. But Igbo have been working with Hausa Fulani since 1960. They will work with them till tomorrow, and we are going to chase you out of our homeland. Believe you me. We are born into degradation. We are going to be ruthless. we are going to be very, very ruthless. Nítorí pé àwọn Yorùbá yìí tó ti ka oríṣiríṣi tó bá ti ka gbogbo nǹkan tó ti ṣe fún Yorùbá inú á bí ẹ dẹ̀ sọ Yorùbá dẹrú ẹ sọ Yorùbá dẹrú yín. Stupid people. So that was what Zik and Tafawa Balewa did. They removed Benin, they removed Ishekiri, they removed Urobo, they removed Delta, they removed Ijaw from Western region. But in the north, the minority there were not given their own separate region. In the east, the Ogoni, the Ogoja, the Calabar, the Efiki people were not given their own region. You see, these two people, Igbo and Hausa, are criminally minded. They were antagonizing the Yoruba because we're great. But we will show you that this generation that you are seeing, we will be very, very brutish. After the creation of Midwestern region from Benin and Delta provinces of the Western region, Zik imposed Osadebe as the premier of the region. He imposed Osadebe because Zik was targeting the oil. 70% of Nigeria oil were in Yoruba Western region. They removed it and gave them Midwest. So the next thing this Zik did was to impose Osadebe as their premier so that the Igbo can control the oil wealth. The Olu of Warri disagreed with Zik and he was dethroned by the premier of the Midwestern region, Osadebe, on the order of Zik. By the way, let me tell you, during the Midwest referendum, you can go and read it. You use your internet. The Yoruba who are Akoko Edo, they voted against being included as part of Midwest. The Shekiri said they want to remain part of Western region where their brothers and sisters are, the Yorubas. But Tafawa Balewa and Zik forced them to be part of Midwest. Criminally minded people. Because Yoruba are not reading anymore, because we are following English Premier League, somebody will wake up and say Yoruba and Igbo should work together. Stupid man, stupid lady. But you don't want to talk about history. Did you know how many Yoruba that were killed in 1963? Because Awolowo was in prison? 1963-64, 14,528 Yoruba. If a terrorist organization should arrest one black American government will not go there. But let them try to take as hostages a newborn baby who is white American. America will go to that country and fucking blow them up. That's how people should do. Because Abiola is not my father. So I should not be concerned that he was murdered by the Hausa Fulani. Because the 14,528 Yoruba that were killed in 1963 by the Hausa Fulani and the Igbo, I should not be concerned because they are not my brother. They are not my family. The same Hausa Fulani shot and killed my elder brother because he refused to give bribe in Yorubaland, Ibadan. Because Hausa Fulani have taken over our police. I should not be concerned about them. So I must form a relationship with people based on emotion. When Jonathan was there in 2010 to 2015, why is it that the Igbo did not support regional government? Why? But you are shouting Biafra now, idiots. You've made a mistake. We have to trash these things out and renegotiate things. I'm interested in doing trading. I want to trade with people. I don't want to have friendship. If you are trading with another country, you won't fight. So if you have something to trade with Yoruba, fine, we will trade with you. But don't tell me to be your friend. When the historical antecedent shows that you are my enemy. Olu of Warri disagreed with Osadebe as the premier. He was deposed. So the first stage of Zik plan to take over the entire Nigeria for Igbo to rule everybody was done. They put Awolowo in prison. They divided Western region. This is the nonsense they did. That was the plan of Zik. He put Awolowo in prison. Just 2 years. 2 years after we sent away the English colonial government. Somebody will open his mouth and say, because I'm black, I must be friendly with another black man. You are crazy. That's not how life rolls. You will be friendly with people who are concerned about your interests. That was the first plan of On September 11, 1963, Chief Awolowo and 21 other Yoruba were sentenced to 10 years imprisonment for treason, along with Chief Anthony Enauro and other Yoruba. That was the first plan of Zik to take over Yorubaland and the entire Nigeria. He put Awolowo in prison with the support of the Fulani. For 10 years, you jailed the man. Stupid people. You're saying we must be friends when you do all of this atrocity against my nation, against my people. You take one single white American. Let these terrorists, you take them as hostages or kill them. White American will go there and blow them up. They will kill them massively. So as Yoruba, so because somebody is not your daddy, somebody is not your mommy, somebody is not related to you, but it's Yoruba, it's been killed by the Hausa Fulani, it's been killed by the Igbo, so you don't want to talk about it. Is that how the white Americans are behaving? Try any shit on an English citizen. The English people will mark you out and deal precisely with you. That is a sign of civilization, folks. It's a sign of civilization. Yoruba, you are too gullible, but I'm sorry to use that word. Folks, I see young Yoruba who are with us now. I'm very, very happy. Now let's continue to expose these evil people. By 1964, the Yoruba masses saw through the machinations of the Hausa Fulani and the Igbo and reacted violently through Operation Welfare. After Awolowo has been taken in prison, then they divided Yorubaland, Western region. They took away Benin, they took away Ishekiri, they took away Urobo, they took away the jobs and called them Midwest. The Yoruba youth of that year revolted. They protested. They protested on the streets of Lagos, Abeokuta, Ibadan, and other Yoruba cities. Hausa Fulani and Igbo soldiers were ordered by the coalition government of Balewa and Zik to shoot on sight any Yoruba who is protesting the imprisonment of Awolowo. You can type this on your internet. Balewa, he gave an order for the Hausa Fulani soldiers to kill any Yoruba that is protesting on the street. 14,528 Yoruba were killed. If I'm lying, let me tell you something. You know the former governor of Osun State, Chief Bisi Akande, he made a presentation shortly after he was rigged out as governor of Osun State. He made the presentation. I have his book in my library. The library is in my wife's house. I have that book in my library, in which he said 50,000 houses were burned. Over 25,000 people were injured. And we calculated 14,528 people were killed on the order of Tafawa Balewa and Zik. All of these people that were killed were Yoruba. Because the target for Zik is to control Yoruba. He said it in his speech in 1949, that the manifest destiny of the Igbo is to rule over Yoruba and others. That is the same thing as saying, born to rule. Is it not the same thing Fulani are saying? Fulani copied everything they are doing now from the Igbo. Believe you me, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. So many people don't know. You are talking about Mr. Buhari. Do you know that in 1963, Mr. Buhari was 21 years old? Mr. Buhari had no military training other than a cadet's training. He was a secondary school dropout. But in 1963, he was promoted twice. From second lieutenant, and he was promoted to platoon commander, 2nd Infantry Brigade, Abeokuta, in 1963. This current president, you are talking about Buhari, he was promoted twice in 1963 by Tafawa Balewa, a 21-year-old man. He led the platoon command of the 2nd Infantry Brigade in 1963. He was part of those who murdered 14,528 Yoruba children, women, and men between 1963 and 1964 because they protested against the unjust imprisonment of Awolowo. Buhari, you don't have history. My deputy is going to make a speech about that probably very soon. We have every details of Buhari atrocity against the Yoruba nation. Buhari murdered Yoruba people at the age of 21. A 21-year-old Yoruba is following English Premier League. He has no clue why Yoruba is poor. That was what Tafawa Balewa and Zik did to the Yoruba just few years after the Yoruba sent away the English colonial government thought from ruling Yoruba, ruling the Igbo, ruling the Hausa Fulani. Zik is a criminally minded soul. He has one focus: to rule over Yoruba, to control Lagos up to tomorrow. That is what the young Igbos are saying. Very stupid, silly people. They say they develop Lagos. I am going to expose you tonight. So, folks, that was a beautiful relationship these people had. Hausa and Igbo, they were enjoying it. They subjugated the Yoruba nation. They put our leader in prison, killed our children, our women, our men. They killed Yoruba. They control the military. They control the federal civil service. So, I told you in 1959, the agreement Zik and Tafawa Balewa had was that Tafawa Balewa would do one term as the premier. Zik is going to take over. But that didn't happen. You see, this is what is responsible for the civil war. I'm going to show you tonight. By 1966, the coalition government of Hausa Fulani and the Igbo against the Yoruba ended in a bitter struggle for power. Balewa had agreed with Zik in 1959 to do a term as prime minister so that Zik can be prime minister in 1964. However, Balewa reneged on the agreement. He recontested for election, won through rigging in 1964, and was then appointed again as the prime minister for the second term. That was not what the agreement he had with the Igbo in 1959. The agreement the Hausa Fulani had with the Igbo is that you do one term as prime minister, I take over. The first stage of ruling over the entire Nigeria by the Igbo was to put Awolowo in prison. That was done. So Zik was waiting to become the prime minister. Zik was very bitter that Tafawa Balewa reneged on the agreement, and he encouraged the Igbo in the military to take over government from the Hausa Fulani. It was Zik who instigated that coup, the first coup. The Igbo soldiers in the Nigerian armed forces, after they had discreetly exiled their own leader, Azikiwe was sent to London. He was informed that, look, we are going to strike. So Azikiwe left and traveled to London. Then the Igbo soldiers in the military staged a coup and killed all politicians and military officers of the Hausa Fulani and the Yoruba origin. That was what the Igbo did. You are acting on emotion. That is why people, you think grandson is a very, very difficult man. I read a lot. Toba takara fumi sinu newspaper. Maaka nkoton ko sinu newspaper. Toba takara fumi sinu ewe maaka. Somebody that is reading, you can't easily change his mind. That's what you don't know. My mother would tell me, Timanka, we are suffering, and Tobanka will joke in how happy. That's the truth. If you read a lot, you won't be happy because you will see so many disorganized things. I see why Yoruba are poor. So many Yoruba, you don't see it. I've been trained as an economist to observe phenomena. We observe situation and be able to make almost near accurate prediction as to why things are happening. So many Yoruba, you don't have the clue. I sit my house in England, built by the English. You think my life is going to be better? Is it my country? So that was what happened. The Igbo military officer, they sent away Zik to London, and they killed all others. They killed all the Yoruba political leaders at that time, and killed all the Hausa Fulani political leaders. No Igbo politician or military officer lost his life. Then the Igbo, through Agu Irosin, who was the Nigerian head of the army, took over power. Agu Irosin took over power. The first thing this guy did, remember when Zik and Tafawa Balewa took over power, the first thing they did was to deny the Yoruba in Ilorin and Kaba division to be part of Western region. The second thing they did was to put Awolowo in prison when Tafawa Balewa and Zik took over. The third thing they did was to divide Western region that belongs to Awolowo. They removed all the oil fields from Western region, Benin, Ishekiri, Urobo, Delta, and Ijo. They removed it from Western region. Zik is a criminally minded soul, a criminally bastard, idiot man. It destroyed beautiful structure because of his greed to control others. People who tend to control others won't last. That's why the Igbo should be a problem. We're going to come to that stage because you live in my homeland. You live in my homeland. And I don't want this nonsense going on for Yoruba people. Yoruba children are dying every now and then. Yoruba pregnant women are dying. Malaria is still killing Yoruba in 2018. Can you imagine that? The best of Yoruba brain are everywhere, scattered all over the world. When our homeland is disorganized, poor, miserable people go to our village, there's no pipe on water, nothing, the roads are bad, and you want me to live in London and say, live in London. A country built by the English. When am I going to build my own country? The first thing Aguiyi Rossi did was to suspend regional government. The Igbo are criminally minded. That's what I'm telling you. They suspended regional government and imposed the unitary system. Igbo people and businessmen in the north started gloating on the radio and in the newspaper that they were the strongest in Nigeria and the master of all. That was what they were doing after the Igbo have killed all the Hausa Fulani leaders, after the Igbo have killed all the Yoruba leaders. 6 months later, the Hausa Fulani officer planned a counter coup and nearly killed all Igbo officers in the army in one bloody night of the long knife. That was what Hausa Fulani. Yoruba, you, this is what I'm going to call you to. You are stupid. Look at what the Fulani did. The Igbo killed their leader. Hausa Fulani retaliated. If a terrorist should kill one English today, believe you me, white American government will go to that country and kill all of them. That is how civilized people think. Abiola was killed by Fulani, Hausa Fulani. Today, we have not taken a revenge for the killing of Abiola. They killed his wife, Kudirat, but Hausa Fulani killed his wife. But we have not revenge for what Hausa Fulani did. Hausa and Igbo killed 16,000 Yoruba people during June 12th. Yet we voted for Hausa Fulani again. White Americans will never do that. The Igbo killed Hausa Fulani leaders. Hausa Fulani revenge. That is how civilized people do. Yoruba, o kan sọ pé o kàwé ni o ka ọgbọ́n orí. Torí election ṣerú nílùú òyìnbó. À ń rí gbogbo yín tẹ́ ń kó gbé òyìnbó káàkiri, tẹ́ ń ṣe taxi driver káàkiri, ẹ dẹ̀ ní education tí gbogbo nǹkan tẹ́ ń ṣe nìyẹn. Àwọn churches tí wọ́n tún bá yé yín jẹ́. Church yẹn mi ò ráyè wọn sí èmi àtàwọn churches yẹn ní agreement, but ó dà pé wọ́n dà mí. Máa padà wá bá yín very soon. Ẹ dúró sílùú òyìnbó. Igbo murdered all the Hausa Fulani political leaders, including our own leader, Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò, Akintola. Igbo killed him. But 6 months after, what happened? The Hausa Fulani came back and revenge on the Igbo. Yoruba, have you revenge? Because Akintola Okinse family, the Igbo and Hausa Fulani blow up my brother's brain. Yeah, you will see what we are going to do. They blew up my brother's brain. He was 31 years old. He refused to give bribe in Yorubaland. Our police are Igbo and Hausa Fulani. In Yorubaland, Ibadan, they blew up his brain. He's dead. He's got 3 children. I cannot even take proper responsibility for them. Igbo kill Hausa Fulani leader. Hausa Fulani revenge. Hausa Fulani kill Abiola. Today we still voted for Abiola. Try that with white Americans. One put Trump ni racist or dead. Èyàn máa pa èyàn family ẹbí èyàn ará Yorùbá nígbẹ̀san. Nígbẹ̀san. Olóṣì burúkú. Christianity ti da orí yín rú. Kẹ́ máa gbé mat sílẹ̀, kẹ́ máa la agbárí yín mọ́lẹ̀, kẹ́ sọ pé ń coordinate pẹ̀lú Mecca. Tí n bá sọ fún yín pé àwọn English ló create Saudi Arabia, kúkú nígbà mi gbọ́, because ní knowledge. Ẹni tí ò bá ní knowledge ó máa ń ṣerú ni. Wàá rí pé generation mi, we will rule Yorubaland. Eré lẹ máa pè. Bí joke ló máa ṣe jọ yín lójú. Ṣé ordinary AK-47 ni Gàmbàrí ń gbé wá ló fi ń da gbogbo yín láàmú. Ojoojúmọ́ lẹ ń circulate lórí WhatsApp. Gàmbàrí ti pa yín bí o, Gàmbàrí ti pa yín lọ. The same Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò tẹ́ ń bú pé kò lè education lẹ ń pè. Orí yín ti dàrú. Agbárí yín ti dàrú. The same Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò tó ń jà fún Yorùbá at the age of 23 tẹ́ ń kọ oríṣiríṣi terrible things ń pa ẹ̀. Only in people who save Winston. Hausa Fulani leaders were murdered by the Igbos. 6 months after, Hausa Fulani revenge. That is how civilized people do. Northern mobs, rabbit mobs, spilled into the streets, the villages and the intercities, and started murdering Igbos, mainly, and other Southerners, out of fear for its life and the sanctity of his people. The Igbo ran for cover to the eastern region. That was it. Hausa Fulani revenge. That is how civilized people think. Téèyàn bá pa ẹ́ ní èèyàn tara ẹ̀ wá gbẹ̀san ni. Tó o bá gbẹ̀san wá mú ẹ lẹ́rú. Idiot. Obasanjo is out now saying coalition government to come and bring back another Hausa Fulani. Hausa Fulani tó pa Abiola. Ayé Yorùbá youth mama orí yìí mà ti dàrú gan kẹ. Ẹrú òun ló pọ̀ jù nínú yín. Ẹrú ló máa ń bẹ̀rù tó yẹ a máa bẹ̀rù ọ̀gá ẹ̀. Tó bá kàwé débì kan ẹ̀ you conquer ò ní bẹ̀rù anything because òótọ́ ni mo ń sọ ọmọ òótọ́ ni. Òótọ́ ni mo ń sọ jáde lẹ́nu ẹ̀. Ṣé bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe mo ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ jẹ́ ń bú mi nígbà táwọn ọlọ́pàá òyìnbó lù mí tèmi bá dẹ́kun tí bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí lu òyìnbó ṣe bá àwọn Yorùbá ló máa jáde wọn ni òyìnbó ni o máa lù bóyìnbó ṣe ń lù wá lù ẹ nìyẹn nǹkan tí mo sọ tí mo fi win case mi nìyẹn mo sọ fún wọn pé màá lọ Èkó bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe lù mí tẹ́tì mi mọ́lé màá lu òyìnbó tiyín tó wà ńbẹ̀ George ń bẹ̀ mí ni ọlọ́pàá tó nà mí ó resign ó tọwọ́ bọ́ lóun ṣiṣẹ́ mọ́ tó bá ń bẹ̀rù òní ní lọ síwájú àwọn èèyàn máa cheat ẹ̀. So let's just leave that. But more like our English help me go. All the way more late. Oh yeah. You have to show some level of civilization in your way of life. Hausa Fulani murdered Abiola, Ààrẹ Ọ̀nà Kakanfò, and Yoruba still voted for them. But when the Igbo kill Hausa Fulani leaders, Hausa Fulani revenge and kill all the Igbo leaders and kill all the Igbo people. So the Igbo ran off to eastern region. Zikmen thereafter declared war on their friend because Hausa Fulani were Igbo. Hausa Fulani and Igbo were friends. They gang up against Yoruba and put Awolowo in prison. Divided western region into two. But later they started fighting each other. After they declared their war, they released a map. All the oil well in whole western region were part of their fucking stupid Biafra. And only the target of the Igbo is to subjugate all others. That is a statement of fact. There is no Igbo that will speak for Biafra that is only Igbo speaking area. Zig did not do it. When they released their Biafra map, all the western region area are part of their stupid Biafra map. And they made another mistake without tactically carrying along the Yoruba and other ethnic groups who had in total never shown any violent antagonism towards them. It was Hausa Fulani that were killing them. The Igbo killed Yoruba leader, Akintola. He was killed by the Igbo. And I think they killed his wife too. Did Yoruba revenge? No! It is only a slave who will not revenge. If you kill his people, he will accept it. Anybody that is civilized will fight if you kill any of his members. But did Yoruba revenge? No, Yoruba did not. Yoruba did not even enter the war. So after some acrimonious argument, we settled for Aburi Accord. Now let me tell you something. Aburi Accord was not the product of the Igbo alone. It was the product of both the Yoruba, Hausa Fulani, and the Igbo. But it was the English who advised the Fulani, Hausa Fulani, not to accept Aburi Accord because the English want to control the Yoruba resources and the Niger Delta resources. So that was why the Aburi Accord was petitioned. Aburi Accord is akin to the regional system of government, but it is still unitary. I've studied it. I don't really like what is there. It is still unitary formation. But it doesn't take Nigeria back to the regional government that the Igbo suspended. It accepted the military command to rule over Nigeria. No, the Abuja Accord should have recommended that Nigeria be returned back to democracy, to the system it was. But it established military high command, supreme military commander, and I rejected that. But the English didn't want it to work anyway, because it is going to still have some similarity of regional system of government. So the English were telling the Fulani that, look, the rate at which Yoruba are going, it will be the best out of Africa. So to suppress us, to subjugate us, the English started working with the Fulani. We are going to work with America. The English, you watching me? We will work with America. Believe you me, because you cannot subjugate my people. Every time you conduct election in your country, you tell black people to return to their country. We want to return to our country. That's why we are telling you, leave Nigeria alone. Let the Igbo go their way. Let the Hausa go their way. Let the Yoruba go their own way. We want to leave your country. Stop harassing us. You voted for Brexit because you want to control your own resources, because you want to control your immigration. Yet every time you open your mouth and say Nigeria will not break. You see, what I had in mind, I had a dream that I'm going to bring 2 million Yoruba women and dump them on the street of London. You can't continue to hold people hostage. You can't continue to subjugate people forever. Every time you conduct election in England, people openly say to us, go back to your country, go back to your country. We want Oduduwa Republic. We want Nigeria to break. So how come the English politicians are saying Nigeria will not break? Then you will continue to take responsibility for our presence. Because we don't even like it. A country where we cannot attain our full human potential. A country where your police are beating people up because of the color of their skin. Is it the country you want people to beat up? A country where I walk into your police station to get help and I was fucking assaulted, I was almost killed? Do you think that is the kind of country that I would like to live in? No. We want you to back out. Back off from Nigeria. Stop supporting the Fulani. You are the one that made Nigeria to be a shithole. Said Nigeria cannot break. You break up, or you voted for Brexit. You're saying that Nigeria cannot break. Nonsense. It was the English that stopped the Abuja Accord, folks. When the Civil War started on the 6th of July 1967, the Yoruba officer never participated in the war. You know, it was like two friends fighting, Hausa and the Igbo. You understand? Two friends were fighting, so the Yoruba backed up. The Yoruba saw the war as a fight between two allies, the Hausa Fulani and the Igbo. When the war eventually started, instead of the Igbo to face the North, where they were being massacred, slaughtered, they faced Yorubaland. Stupid people, they're just horrible. The target, the state of mind of the Igbo is Lagos. They admire that place, they want it to be their own. Lagos. Hausa Fulani murdered you in the north. You are bombing Yorubaland. You bomb Yoruba cousins, Edo people. You bomb the Shekiri that is Yorubaland. You came to Ore and you started throwing bomb in Lagos. Yet you were killed in the north. Hausa Fulani land. The stupid argument they bring about, they say, because Lagos na capital, na federal capital, idiots. Is it Hausa Fulani land? When you throw bomb in Lagos, is it Hausa Fulani that will be killed? Idiots. You may see their target has always been Lagos. So there were some Yoruba officers who were part of the Biafra soldiers, like Victor Banjo. So when Victor Banjo realized that, oh, so this is what you want to do to my nation. You want to continue to attack my nation and bomb my nation. When it was Hausa Fulani that bombed you, Victor Banjo opted out. Ojukwu called him, invited him, and shot him dead. He killed him. I'm challenging the Yoruba. You go and read the letter Ojukwu wrote to Victor Banjo, how he's going to control Lagos. That is why the stupid Igbo youth will continue to tell you that federal government developed Lagos. Stupid people. Lagos that was built with the sweat and toil of the Yoruba nation. Ojukwu killed Major Victor Banjo because the man refused to let a war into his father's land. He was murdered by Ojukwu. So on the 19th and 20th of August, Biafra soldier troop attacked Yoruba town of Ore and its surrounding. several Yoruba children, women, and unarmed men were murdered by the Igbo soldiers. The occupation of Ore availed the Igbo military officers and the civilian competence and facility to stage further attacks on other parts of Yorubaland. 2 bombs were detonated in Lagos, Yorubaland, killing hundreds of Yoruba citizens. Penn Cinema, who I read it in the history, was bombed by the Igbo. Yet they were killed by the Hausa Fulani in the north. The stupid people were blowing up Yorubaland. Their target is Lagos. I'm asking the young Yoruba, go and read the letter Ojukwu wrote to Major Victor Banjo. How he's going to control Lagos? Stupid people. If you want to forge unity, you have to talk about the past. You have to observe what is currently going on. Then we can adequately predict the future. You cannot talk about certain unity when you have always antagonizing the Yoruba interest, when you have always supported the political interest of the Hausa Fulani. Because the Yoruba don't have sense of history doesn't mean that every Yoruba youth has no sense of history. Some of us do. And that's why we are hard to change the course of history, and we will go to change it. We're going to shock you. On the 25th of August 1967, General Adekunle and other Yoruba officers visited Ore. On seeing the way Biafran soldiers massacred the innocent people, especially children and pregnant women, the Yoruba leader of thought, military officers and civilians, furious with the Igbo bombing of Lagos and the coordinated attack on Ore, a Yoruba border town, with Edo Yoruba cousin and a Shekiri Yoruba kith and kin, the Yoruba entered the war in support of the Hausa Fulani. So what do you expect us to do? You are fighting with your friend. In 1959, the Yoruba said, let us have a coalition government. The Igbo refused and worked with the Hausa Fulani. Just under 2 years of independence of Nigeria, the Igbo and Hausa Fulani put Yoruba leader in prison and 21 other Yorubas. That was in 1962-63. Then you killed 14,528 Yoruba people because they protested on the streets. Then in 1963, you went and divided the Western region with your friend Hausa Fulani. You divided the Western region. You removed all the oil fields from Western region. So you impose Osadebe on the people you have created a new regions for. Thereafter, you and your friend, the Hausa Fulani, you broke up. Your friendship went south. And then you killed the Hausa Fulani leaders. You even killed the Yoruba leaders, but the Yoruba were too stupid that time. They did not revenge. 6 months later, Hausa Fulani revenge and killed your leaders too and your people. You then declare war. But as stupid as you are blowing up Yorubaland. Idiots. Because you want to control Yoruba people. That was what Zeke said in 1949. That the manifest destiny of the Igbo is to rule over all others in Nigeria. So you can't face the north. You are facing Yorubaland. So Yoruba entered the war to defend their homeland. And you were defeated. The Yoruba leader of thought devised a no-food policy in April 1969. And within months, the Biafra surrendered on January 15, 1970. The war started, I think, 1967. The war dragged on for so long. And one man, Awolowo, came up with his ingenuity of no food policy. And in 9 months, the war ended. And I'm going to detail what happened on the issue of the no food policy. The Igbo used to call it starvation policy. The Igbo used to have no sense of history. There's too much propaganda that you have been fed. You will never be your friend, believe you me, if you carry on with this stupid set of propaganda that you see, even though you have professionals who could help to change your focus so that you can think like human being, but you continue to carry on with propaganda. Now let's talk about the no food policy. The Igbo call it starvation policy. The war had lasted for 3 years, and the cabinet of the federal government was concerned why the war had lasted for so long. The supply of weapons and food items to both sides were making money. Therefore, they wouldn't want the war to hand among other parties who have pecuniary benefit in warfare. Obviously, it happens. When you go to war, you fight. You need weapons, you need food. That was why I appealed to some ladies. They are very fine ladies, young ladies. I appealed to them that they should form the Yoruba Red Cross because we are going to go to war. I don't know whether they have done it or not because people will need relief materials. So the Yoruba throughout the world can donate because we will take over our port, we will take over our waterways, we will take over our airport. Believe you me, it will happen. A time comes when people say, I don't want to be slave anymore. Yoruba people are suffering in Yorubaland. We are suffering across Europe and North America. We're working like slaves with all our qualitative education. We're going to end it. So I'm asking on women, Yoruba women, give us Yoruba Red Cross, please. Thank you. So I'm talking about the no food policy. So throughout the period of the war, especially towards the end, the Nigerian government was supplying food items to the civilians of the Biafra through road corridor. Can you imagine? Igbo have never been appreciative of anything in their life. The Yoruba gave them their language. We gave them Christianity. We codified their language. We wrote their first book for them. Till tomorrow, they have not shown appreciation to the man who single-handedly civilized them. Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowder. The next thing they said is that, hey, it was one Igbo man who taught him. Who taught him? Nobody taught him. He codified your language. You are not appreciative. During the Civil War, the Yoruba were feeding the Igbo. They were sending food to you. Yet, you were fighting with the Hausa Fulani. Food was sent to you through the Yoruba corridor, through our roads. We're sending you food. You have never been appreciative of anybody that do you good. It is people who have constantly been killing you that you have been supporting politically. That's why you've been voting, supporting Hausa Fulani since 1959. There were other international organizations like Red Cross and World Church Body who were also distributing food for the same. When Owerri was liberated in April 1969, Awolowo volunteered to go there. When he got there, he saw people, mostly children, who were like skeletons, suffering from malnutrition. Then he found out that the food items that Nigeria had been sending to the civilian were seized by the Biafran soldier for their own use. This is what Awolowo found out. We were sending you food, Igbo. Igbo youth who have no sense of history. They just put propaganda, stupid idea on your head. You started rolling with that stupid ideas. The Yoruba were feeding you, even while you killed our leader, Akintola. We did not revenge. We were feeding you during the Civil War. But when Awolowo got to your area, he realized that all the Biafran soldiers have seized all of the food. And the people, the civilians, were not eating. So the Biafran soldiers were eating, well fed, so they will have the strength to fight. So that was why the war went on for so long. Conclusively, the war had lasted for so long, partly because the Biafran soldiers were feeding on the food that were meant for the civilians. Awolowo advised that the supply of food items should be stopped. That is what a reasonable person would do. I'm challenging the Igbo youth. I said something to you. In 1957, the English gave the three regions one simple offer. When do you want your independence? The Yoruba said 1957, they want to go. Hausa Fulani said they are not ready for independence. So the English asked the Igbo, what is the option? Stupid, criminally minded Zeke. He said that he will wait until the Fulani are ready. Hausa Fulani are ready. Can you imagine that? You are a slave. You've been slave for years. Your master is saying, I want to give you freedom. You say, I'm going to wait for Mr. B to be ready too. Is that naturally possible? It is not. So the stupid Igbo youth still believe in this age that if you declare a war against a people, the same people must send food to you, must feed you. So you are holding Yoruba to ransom because your food was stopped. Is that a natural reason? You declare war against me. You want me to feed you. You must be out of your mind. So that's sometimes I query the state of mind of an average Igbo youth, the way they think. They don't think like human beings. Some people say to me, maybe because they sell peer part, they do trading, they don't go to school. But there are some of them who are well educated. They cannot still reason naturally. You go to war with somebody and that person is feeding you, and that person now says, I am no longer sending food to you. You said that is wickedness. You are idiots. You are idiot. Look, I've said something to the Igbo. You see, whatever I said something to the Hausa Fulani that we are going to blow up a Papa War. We are going to blow up Tinkapot, and Hausa Fulani will pay for the reconstruction. They are conscious of that. Already, believe you me, negotiation is ongoing. They are very conscious of that. Look, it takes nothing away from the Yoruba. Hausa Fulani don't have shoreline. So if we blow up a Papa Wolf, we blow up Tinkapot, for instance, and then we declare for Oduduwa, we will take Yorubaland out of it. We will have to send people, we borrow money to rebuild it. So when we rebuild it, it is the people in Niger Republic, it is the people in Chad, it is the Hausa Fulani and Kanuri people that will pay for the reconstruction. It's simple. We will give you high tariff. If you don't want to import your goods and services through the Yoruba port, go to Ivory Coast. It will be more expensive. It will be the same price. So you will pay for the reconstruction of our port by the time we blow it up. So if you are smart, you negotiate. Bilateral relation. Trade. You trade with the Yoruba. Simple. You will not control my waterway anymore. You will not control my port anymore. The young Yoruba are putting a stop to that. We are not slaves. Are we controlling anybody's waterway? You have a huge land in Hausa Fulani land. Why are you not using it to farm? I have water in Yorubaland. I have Atlantic Ocean. You are controlling it. You must think me to be an idiot. Go to immigration in Yorubaland. Everybody working there, Hausa Fulani. Custom in Yorubaland, Hausa Fulani. Go to the banks in Yorubaland. You have equal number of Yoruba and Igbo. Are we crazy? Is that how the English are treating us in their own country? Go to the port. Hausa Fulani are controlling port in Yorubaland. So where is the joy for the Yoruba youth? That's why I keep telling this horrible Yoruba youth who believes that you need to do ritual to get money. Think about Feshogun láti lówó or ní ọ̀fífẹ́ ló máa lówó jù láyé àtàláàfin. If you go ogun Yoruba wọlé sí nìyẹn òpònú. But these two of us are struggling to make Yoruba great. Idiot Yoruba youth, you are believing in juju or dead. Wọ́n ṣe ogun wọ́n gé orí èèyàn, wọ́n gẹ́sẹ̀ èèyàn, wọ́n fàdí irun èèyàn. Kẹ̀bá lè fi lówó. Yoruba, oh mọ̀ pé ẹni education tẹ̀ máa rò bí ẹni yẹn. So stupid people. So let's continue to talk about these Igbo people. Really. When Awolowo got to Owerri in April 1969, he just said, why are these people like skeleton? So all the food we were sending to them. So where is the food? They said it was the soldier that were taking the food. A smart man. He said, okay, if that should be the case, if you, the Biafran soldier, you say you are fighting for freedom for your people, yet you are taking the food that the people you are fighting with are giving to your civilian. You alone are eating it. And the people you claim to be fighting for are these. Man, no, rich, poor. So then you are not fighting legitimate cause for your people. You are fighting for your pocket. So I will all stop the food, which is the right thing to do. I'm asking the Igbo, is it a natural way of thinking? You declare a war against the people. You expect the same people to feed you. If you think that is the way, you are crazy. So after Awolowo's advice, under 9 months after that advice of the adoption of no food policy, the war ended. Few years after that, Ojukwu was interviewed and he openly said that he lost the war for 2 reasons. Because his soldiers were hungry and because of the change of currency. Awolowo was very smart. He stopped the food. Now, I imagine, why are Igbo holding that against the Yoruba? Are you crazy? You are fighting a war against another country, against another people. You expected that people to feed you. Now, Awolowo changed the currency. You know why? Because the 3 central banks in Eastern region have been looted by Ojukwu soldiers. So Awolowo thought, okay, I'm going to end this by changing the currency. By the time he changed the currency, they couldn't spend the money. So it is just 2 simple ideas for one Yoruba man, from a Yoruba man. Change the currency, stop food policy, and the war ended. So, to the Hausa Fulani nation and to the Igbo, you are targeting Yorubaland. I've said it to you. My generation will change the course of history. We have the policy that will make sure that Hausa Fulani will beg us. And I'm telling you, all the money you still, to El-Rufai has built dry port, right? You build dry port. We will end that dry port because you won't control my port in Lagos anymore. By the time I stop every activities going on there, you won't have anything to say. So when when I see on social media, they were saying, oh, El-Rufai has opened dry port in Kaduna. Is it Kano or Kaduna? In Kaduna, blah, blah, blah. The dry port will only be functional if the Yoruba port allows the shipment to come through our port. It will not be functional if otherwise. So I'm telling you, the Hausa Fulani, Apapa Wharf alone generates 6 trillion naira every year. That is not how much is declared by the Hausa Fulani. The money is stolen. Tinker ports generate around 4 trillion naira every year. All of this money goes to benefit the Hausa Fulani. Why Yoruba children? 200 are dying every day from sanitation-related diarrhea. 1,000 Yoruba die every day from childbirth. You see, this sport doesn't pay us. The money that is generated from this was go to Hausa Fulani. We blow it up. Simple. We just fucking blow it up, everything. By the time we blow it up, the English will not help you to get anything there. So everything is blown up. So what else are you waiting for? You go back to your homeland. Then we will rebuild it. We have the best military in West Africa, even Africa. We rebuild our port. By the time you want to bring your goods and services through our port, you will pay for the reconstruction because we are going to give you high tariff. That's what we're going to. If you are smart, Hausa Fulani, look, you will negotiate for you to trade with the Yoruba nation. We are not going to be the same nation because we are going to have Oduduwa Republic. If you think the English are going to support you, let me give you this. Go and check American history. There is no Englishman that has been the president of the United States of America since the end of the Civil War in America. Because you know what? 3 people fought against the English. The Dutch, the Spanish, and the French. They fought against the English and they defeated them. So English has not been. So we, the Yoruba nation, we want to work with President Trump. We want to work with Russia. We want to work with China. So how the English will continue to subjugate us, to control our resources, let us see. We wait to see. So if you are smart, you negotiate with the Yoruba nation. All of this stupid idea that you think Obasanjo will say, we are waking up the Yoruba youth. The Yoruba youth in the army, the Yoruba youth in the Air Force. This is it. I'm doing my own course of action. What I'm doing is to liberate the mind and soul of young Yorubas and to show them why we are poor. We're going to take it further, believe me. We're going to take it further. It's going to shock you. So why I have refused to compromise is because I have read a lot. I can't compromise. I have the knowledge. I know why Yoruba are fucking poor. I know why Yoruba are useless abroad. But I want to end this because I have a very terrible experience. And I don't want Yoruba nation to go through that. Our healthcare is in shambles. Our education is destroyed. Everything is not working again in Yorubaland. And you think I want to live the rest of my life in England? Is that my country? I am not indigenous to that. I respect the English people. They have built their country, even though they have stolen from other people. But they have been able to build a fantastic civilization. I want to do the same thing for Yorubaland. So that was how you lost the war, folks. So what do you expect Awolowo to do? To continue to feed you, right? It must be out of your mind. So folks, let me now talk about the 20 pounds policy. I have just spoken about the no food policy. You call it starvation policy, right? You continue to blame the Yoruba nation over it. You are fighting with Hausa Fulani. The Yoruba are giving you food, but you are not using the food for your people. Your soldiers stole the food. The Yoruba has said, okay, no food anymore. Don't you think we are very civilized people, very liberal people? Torí election ṣeṣekúṣe nílẹ̀ Yorùbá. You kill our leader, Akintola, but we did not revenge. You kill Hausa Fulani leader. They kill all your leader too. But yet, you have no respect for the Yoruba nation. You have no respect for our culture, for our belief system. You have no respect for us at all. We're not looking for that. What our parents did, we consider it to be stupid. You cannot be feeding people. You cannot be taking care of people and they don't support your interest. No, I will not take it. My generation will not take it. Now, let me talk about the 20 pounds policy, folks. See, The civil war was looming. Breakup of the country was imminent in the air. The Igbo were asked to return home by their leaders because they were being killed in the north. That was in 1966. The Igbo withdrew all their money from the bank to their last penny. In 1966, that was a message that was passed across. All the Igbo should come back to the east. The Igbo left the north. They left the western region. They withdrew all of their money from the bank. And they even left with some of their property, the movable ones. So you imagine somebody would... That was 1966. The war did not start until 1967. So they have ample time to move their things. After the Civil War, some Igbo rose up that they have money in Nigerian banks. Let me give you this information, folks. As of 1966, only 2% of Nigerian population has bank accounts. As of 1966, 2% of Nigerian population has anything like bank account. People were still keeping their money in a jar under the bed, because we're still crude then. But the Igbo had ample opportunity to move their wealth before the war. So they moved their wealth, including their cash savings, if they have any in the bank, to the east. But after the war, so some of the Igbo said, oh, we have money in the bank. Obviously, not every one of them will be able to move their money. Do you know what the Hausa Fulani said? Hausa Fulani in government reproved them. Said they are barau. That was what he said to Awolowo. But Awolowo, in his wisdom, advised the Nigerian government that the issue should be looked into critically. Of course, when you have about 1 million people moving away, running away from war, of course, not all of them will be able to move their money from the bank, but majority will be expected to have withdrawn their money to the last penny. So they were asked to register with what they said they had in banks. So the government of Nigeria opened a register for them. A lot of Igbo registered, and the total money that they claimed to have in the bank was far more than the reserve of the entire Nigerian state. You see, folks, we're talking about brain, intelligence. Just look at me and think. War was looming. Your leader said to you, leave the north, leave the west, move all your things. Anything that is movable, move. You didn't move immediately. You moved gradually, because the war did not start almost immediately. It started in 1967. So you move your things. You move your money. But after the war, all of you said, I have money in the bank. We know you are lying. But there will be some legitimate people who will have money in the bank. So when the register was opened, all what the Igbo claimed they had was more than the entire savings of Nigeria. You know, it's fraud. That's why sometimes I just say that the Igbo are too much into criminal activities. The Nigerian government looked at the claims. A committee was set up which recommended that £20 should be paid to all claimants. A lot of people that collected the £20 didn't have bank account, talk less of having £20 in it. That was what happened. That was that policy. Stupid, ignorant, idiot Igbo youth will sit down on social media and say that Awolowo gave them £20. You are idiot. Fulani said, when you raised the issue that you had money in the bank, Hausa Fulani said you are Barao. Awolowo said, no, we have to listen to you. And the register was opened. You were asked to register the amount of money you had. At the end of the day, everything was calculated. The money you claimed you had was more than the entire money Nigeria has. That is impossible. So a policy was agreed that everyone should be given £20. Obviously, majority of the people who received the £20 never had a kobo in their account. Few people had huge money in the bank and they lost. So that is the consequences of war. Stop being stupid. Stop blaming Yoruba over the policy. Idiots. Try to appreciate. You are selling spare part all over the place. You don't appreciate simple economics theory. You can't. So you continue to shout. Awolowo gave you food. Stop it because your army were eating the food. You are using it against Awolowo. You said you had money in the bank, even though you have withdrawn all your money. Awolowo gave you £20 so that you can at least Some of you will have, some of those who don't even have, will have access to same. You still continue to blame me. Idiot, you are not blaming Hausa Fulani. They were killing you, massacring you, killing you every now. Anything Yoruba does for you, you don't appreciate. We gave you your language. You don't appreciate anything. You want to live in our homeland. We will chase you out. It's just simple. Because I can't have somebody that I'm nurturing, I'm doing everything for, and he or she doesn't even respect me. I will stop helping you. Simple. That's how we're going to do. Now, that was why I said only 20% of Nigerians had bank account in 1966 before the war started. But the entire Igbo claim that they have bank account. That is fraudulent. So you appreciate people who have constantly shown to you that we are human beings. We are not like Fulani who are like an animal. They will just kill. We think. What I'm doing is just to expose your stupidity to the Igbo youth, to expose you, your ignorance, your level of sheer level of ignorance. You have no clue about anything at all. You just talk. You cannot even think and sit down and rely on it. Now let's talk about abandoned property, because see, I wanted to do this thing that this is far. Let's talk about the abandoned property. You rant about the abandoned property in the north that were not returned to you. Why should Yoruba be concerned about the property that were not returned to you in the north? Obasanjo, the Awolowo rather, passed in his wisdom and magnanimity decree that all Igbo property with their rent be returned to the Igbo after the war. You were given your property back in Yorubaland. It is only Hausa Fulani who refuse to return your property. Your stupidity, you will still continue to vote for them. Idiots. We return all your property for you in Yorubaland. You continue to talk about your abandoned property, asking the Yoruba that your property we are taking away. You are ignorant. Stupid people. It is because we are Omoluabi, and I'm going to address the concept of Omoluabi today. Omoluabi is not a slave. We are going to stop being Omoluabi to you. You want force, we're going to use it. So that is about abandoned property. Go and ask your friend, the Hausa Fulani, for your property that were left in the north. Stop holding Yoruba responsible for your foolishness. You and Hausa Fulani were friends. Now I'm going to talk about the special relationship between the Hausa Fulani and the Igbo. The Igbo sees the Hausa Fulani as their natural ally in Nigeria. So, like I've explained, in 1960, Zik was made ceremonial president under Hausa Fulani. In 1963, Zik and Balewa imprisoned Awolowo and 21 other Yoruba on a phantom coup for treasonable felon. You have always been working. This is the special friendship you have with Fulani. Stupid Igbo. You continue to blame Yoruba for voting for Hausa Fulani in 2015. That was our first, and it's going to be our only time. But you have always been doing. I'm reading in 1960. You work with Hausa Fulani. Zik was made ceremonial president. In 1963, you team up with Hausa Fulani, you Igbo, to imprison Awolowo for 4 years, for 10 years. In 1964, the coalition government of Zik and Balewa ordered a shoot-aside order against all the Yoruba youth. You killed 14,528 Yoruba youth in 1963-64. That is what we have done. In 1966, Aguiyi Ironsi destroyed the regional system of government and introduced the unitary system that favors the Hausa Fulani and the Igbo. That was what you did. So let me stop from 1966. I'm talking more about the civilian. We know what happened in between 1966 and 1979. But in 1979, Awolowo deputy was an Igbo man. But you did not vote for Awolowo. You vote for Shehu Shagari, a Fulani. You made him president of Nigeria. And him and Alex Ekweme, you think we don't know history, right? You think we are idiots. You said, Yoruba, you are the one that voted for Buhari. You return out to this shit. Idiot. You have always been voting for Buhari. Stupid people. Very corny people. You have no respect for people who are helping you. And we are going to chase you out of Yorubaland for good. That is the same experience we had in England. The English people will always tell black people, go, leave us, leave our country, blah, blah, blah. We will do the same thing to you. I'm going to talk about something that's going to shock you. So you voted in 1979, you voted for Shehu Shagari. There were about 1 million people, Igbo, unaccounted for, displaced, mined, or killed during the Biafra War by the Hausa Fulani. But Ojukwu, the man who led the Igbo into the war, later came back from exile and supported the political interest of the Hausa Fulani from 1979 to 1983. Your leader, Ojukwu, after Hausa Fulani kill you, Dada, he came back from exile and was working for Hausa Fulani. You open your mouth and say Yoruba are working for Hausa Fulani. Yoruba have never worked for Hausa Fulani. We made a mistake in 2015. We are going to correct that mistake now. But you have always been working for them. You are foolish. From 1983 to 1999, we have had Buhari, Babangida, Abacha, Abdul Salam, Northern government in power. Throughout this period, the Igbo people were strong supporters of all this government. You are always supporting all Jews, Sokali, Bogoyi, Bojeman support Fulani, criminal people, because you are targeting Lagos. You think a generation will not come and fucking mess you up and fucking deal with you. You think we are not going to come. In 1993, you Igbo, you voted for Tufa, a Fulani, against Abiola. The election result of 1993, June 12, 1993, is in the internet. Search it. It's going to give you the result. It's going to give you the result. Just search. I've seen some of the Igbos you writing. I don't really focus on your comment. In 1993, you voted for Fulani. You did not support Abiola. Yet, Hausa Fulani have been fucking killing you for years. I'm telling what half of your population lives in Yorubaland. You don't support Yoruba political interest. In 1999, when Hausa Fulani brought out Obasanjo from prison after they had murdered Abiola, Igbo, you voted for Obasanjo massively against Yoruba preferred candidate Olufalaye. The Yoruba wanted Olufalaye to be president. But you Igbo, you did not vote for Olufalaye. So you have always been following Fulani for your life. And it is the people who have been killing you. What you are telling Yoruba youth is that by the time we start killing you, that's when you will start respecting us. That is the implication of your stupid and silly action. In 2007, you supported Yaradua, Igbo, yet another Fulani. In 2010, the Yoruba, through the doctrine of necessity, ensured Jonathan was made the president of Nigeria after the demise of Yaradua. In 2011, the Yoruba again ensured Jonathan was elected as president of Nigeria. However, Jonathan's administration was immediately taken over by the Igbo, where Yoruba were relegated to the background. The minute you say, this is your present that I'm talking about, I've spoken about your past. Your present atrocity against the Yoruba nation started from the Jonathan administration. We made Jonathan president in 2010 when the Hausa Fulani said that he will not be president. The Yoruba fought for him to be president. Then in 2011, you remember what Tinubu said? Jonathan Leni, Fasholani Tuesday. That was the simple singular instruction Tinubu gave to the Yoruba. We voted for Jonathan in 2011. After that, what happened? You took over Jonathan government. He put all Igbo there. He turned it into Igbo government. You are criminal. You are criminally minded. That's the same thing Zik did. You have been criminally minded against the Yoruba nation. We codify your language. We gave you Christianity. We gave you your language. We gave you everything. Half of your population are living in Yorubaland, but you have constantly supported Hausa Fulani, stupid people. You continue to open your mouth and say Yoruba bought Buhari. It was our mistake, and already we have already addressed it. Have you ever addressed anything? You are criminally minded. You always been targeting Lagos. You took over Jonathan government. Throughout Jonathan 5 years, regional government, you declined. You did not argue for regional government. Regional police, you refused. Regional regimental armed forces, you objected. Regional court system, you denied. Regional civil service, you ignored. When your man was there, Jonathan, why is it that Jonathan didn't return Nigeria to regional government? It was your government. Jonathan government was predominantly Igbo government, and you messed up. You chased away the Yoruba from power. You took over every position. Idiot, you are not saying that because Fulani are fucking messing up everything, Yoruba should work with the Igbo. You think that is how a national interest is formulated? I am a leader. I'm a politician, by the way. It is you, Igbo, who gave me the name. You call me activist. I've always been a politician. That is not how a political leader would think. I think based on emotion. I should be friendly with the Igbo. I have to look at the historical precedent. I look at what is happening currently, and I will be able to predict the future as per what you are going to do. You have been very wicked against the people that have been helping you. Nothing works under Jonathan that can get us regional system of government that we wanted. Igbo were in power under the sham unitary system and control the state. You control everything. You control the military. You control everything under Jonathan. But what have you returned for it? 4 months to the end of Jonathan's 5 years presidency, you organize a sham national conference. You work in that Jonathan conference. The Igbo and the Hausa Fulani wanted states as federating unit. So they recommended the states to be increased from 36 to 54. But you rejected regional government that the Yoruba wanted. You are idiots. This is how I speak, because it's something that I do deliberately. I'm waking up the Yoruba youth. When you are waking up people, you must be able to speak truth to power. Igbo, you are fucking idiots. You messed up that country called Nigeria. You think you can play on people's emotion? You think you can play on people's stupidity? Jonathan was there. You are clamoring for more state instead of everybody to have a region. You want more state because you are targeting Lagos. You are targeting Yorubaland. That is your focus. It's the same thing your Zeke has been doing. That's why everything has been messed up. This guy has been there for 3 years now. He has completely messed up everything. You are not calling Yoruba to be friendly with you. You are idiot. I am not going to work with you. The Yoruba nation will not work with you. Forget about the Afenifere. Afenifere leaders are 80-something. I have a father who is 75 years old. I tell him things. He can only advise me. He can't control me. Afenifere cannot control the Yoruba nation any longer. It is my generation that is now leading the course of action. We are the one that is dictating the focus. It is the youth that changes the course of history. We don't want to work with you because I am exposing what you are doing. Under Jonathan that the Yoruba people made president, you monopolized his administration. No regional government, no regional police, no regional regimental armed forces, no regional courts, no civil service. He came towards the end of his administration, he came up with a fucking stupid, useless national conference where he paid people money. And what is the result? It's in the dustbin of history. You were creating more states when we should have regions. Yoruba should be on its own. Igbo should be on its own. Hausa should be on its own. You can then create your own state for yourself. No! You wanted states so that you can continue to target the resources of the Yoruba to develop your homeland, so that you can continue to control the military. You don't want decentralized armed forces. I keep telling the Yoruba, if we have decentralized the armed forces, when we have Yoruba regimental armed forces, you don't want it. Stupid people are not calling for state police when the Yoruba are asking for regional police. You have federal, regional, state, local government, district, and world police system. But criminal Hausa Fulani, they want state, they don't want region. They don't want the Yoruba to group themselves together so that they can develop at a very faster pace. You are targeting our development. We will be ruthless with you. Believe you me, we will be ruthless. Nonsense. You saying that the Yoruba voted for it's because of the way and manner you took over Jonathan government. That was why the Yoruba were so frustrated and voted for this horrible man called Buhari. A mistake on all of us. Stupid Igbo, they open their mouth and say it is Yoruba that returned us to the north. Idiot, you have always been working with the north since 1960, and it is these same people that have always been killing you. Immediately Jonathan lost his election. That's when you started your fraudulent Biafra agitation. That's when you started your Biafra. Jonathan was here. He didn't give us regional government. He did not give us regional police. He did not give us. He did not decentralize the Nigerian army. Immediately he lost. He started crying Biafra, Biafra, Biafra. What is Biafra? What is Biafra? I'm going to ask you. You don't even have a clue. I'm the one that educated Asari Dokubo about what is Biafra. He's a very good man that I respect so much, because he said we are Biafra. He's just fooling you. He's just saying his own thing there. He respects his own people, the Ijaw people, the Kalabari people. That is his own interest. He's not interested in your nonsense Biafra. You have to be genuine. We all know the Oyo Empire related to Oduduwa Kingdom of the Yoruba people. This is never in dispute. We all know the Benin Empire related to the Edo people. It is never in dispute. We all know the Kanem Bonu Empire. It is never in dispute. Sokoto Empire, which is of the Fulani and Hausa, it is also never in dispute. Have you ever heard of Igbo Empire before? No! You can talk about Inri Kingdom. Igbo has no empire. That's the reality. The agitation for Biafra is fake. You want non-Igbo land. You want Ijo, Edo, Urobo, Ishekiri, Ogoni, every Ibibio land to be part of your Biafra. You know what I said to you? 70% of Nigerian oil field, as at 1960, was within the western region of Nigeria. In 1963-64, Hausa Fulani, you group up together and remove Bini, Ishekiri, Urobo, Delta, and Ijo from the Yoruba Western region because you want to control their oil. The moment you remove that, you put Osadebe as the leader of the Midwest. So your target has always been other people's oil. That is why you are shouting for Biafra. An area that were part of the Yoruba Western region, you are putting it as part of your fucking stupid, fraudulent Biafra. Biafra is not an Igbo word. Biafra was stolen from the bites of Biafra by the Igbo. It was stolen. Bite of Biafra is in the area of the Gulf of Guinea. When you move almost all the West African coast is called Gulf of Guinea. You see, Atlantic Ocean is so huge. So it is not divided into different segments. One is Gulf of Guinea, which is almost the entire from Liberia down to Gabon. That is the Gulf of Guinea. The Gulf of Guinea is further divided. You have the Bight of Benin and the Bight of Biafra. Bight of Benin is started from, I think, Togo, down to Okitikupa, down to Ishekiri. That is Bight of Benin. Bight of Biafra started from Ishekiri, Okitikupa waterway, down to Gabon. That name was given by Portugal. It has nothing, it has no connotation to Biafra. That is the name. But because the Igbo want to get other people's land, they use the word Biafra, saying it's somebody that gave them to them. You see, that is it. Bight of Biafra is within Nigeria, Cameroon, Equatorial Guinea, and Gabon. And there are other small island Laos, Sao Tome, Principe, Lopez, Bioko, Bombom Island. These are all within the Bight of Biafra. It is the name of part of the Gulf of Guinea. It has no meaning in Igbo land. Stop annexing, grabbing other people's land. Biafra is not synonymous with Igbo. There's nothing like Biafra but Bight of Biafra. So if we must be genuine, you and Hausa Fulani, you remove Benin, Ishekiri, Urobo, Ijo, and Delta from Western region, and you put them as part of your stupid fucking Biafra. Because you are not genuine. Awolowo in 1961 raised the issue that the minority in each of the region be given their own identity. But you don't want, up to today, 2018, the Igbo youth is still doing the stupid fucking mistake Zik made by trying to corner other people's land. You think people will not start talking? Now let me quickly talk about the Igbo in Yorubaland. It is shocking that the Igbo have always refused to support the political interests of the Yoruba people since 1966, or 1960 rather. You have always, I'm very agitated because I don't just like the idea that you have a people that we have so accommodated, but they have never supported us politically. They have never supported us politically. They have always been supporting people who are killing them. The Hausa Fulani, who are killing you. Yet half of the Igbo population live, work, and get an education in Yorubaland. Starting from Surulere to Badagry, every major suburb in between is highly Igbo populated. From Koka Aguda axis to Ajegunle on the left and Ajawo Isolo Okota on the right, down to Amuwo Odofin, First tax satellite town, Ejigo, Ikotun, etc. are Igbo dominated. Cross to trade fair and consider all neighborhoods left and right between trade fair and Alaba International Market are Igbo dominated. Move over to Ojo local government, Ajangbadi, Iba Estate, Okokomaiko, Afro Media, Agbara Estate, and all residential neighborhoods down to Badagry are all Igbo dominated. These places mentioned above are at least 1/4 of Lagos State, and the population is at least 75% Igbo. Return to Ikeja side, especially on Mole Estate, Phase 1 and 2, Magodo, Oworoshoki, Lekki, Aja, etc. This area have at least 50 to 60% Igbo residents. You live in my homeland. You live in Yorubaland. Yet you have never supported our political interest for 1 minute. Every time you open your mouth and be voting Awusa Fulani every now and then. Because we made a mistake in 2015 and elected a very ruthless man in Buhari, you continue to antagonize the Yoruba nation. You have been voting for the Awusa Fulani since 1960 to subjugate the Yoruba nation. You think people don't have sense of history? Continue to abuse me. You will see what the Yoruba youth will do with you. By the time I shock you of what I'm going to say next, you will see. You will see that we are well sophisticated. Igbo claim Lagos as a no man's land. Right? This is what they say. You said Lagos is a no man's land. This is reminiscence of what the Japanese did in America in the 1940s. I will show you now. We know what the history is all about. When the Japanese were shouting all over America that they develop America, we develop America, they are doing the same rubbish the Igbo are doing in Yorubaland. Half of Igbo people live in Yorubaland. Half of your population, you continue to shout, abuse our organs, abuse our governors, abuse our political leader, denigrate our religion, go on Wikipedia trying to change our history. You criminally minded people. It's the same thing the Japanese were doing in America in the 1940s. President Roosevelt of the United States of America authorized the internment of all Japanese American ancestries and residents, aliens from Japan living in the United States. Roosevelt Executive Order 9066, dated February 19, 1942. I'm challenging you to go and read it. Gave the military the broad power to ban any Japanese from a 50 to 60 mile wide coastal area stretching from Washington State to California and extending down into the southern Arizona. The same shit, the same rubbish you are talking against the Yoruba nation, you Igbo. That was how the Japanese were doing in 1940s in America. President Roosevelt gave an executive order 9066. He asked the American military police to round up all the Japanese. They were taken into concentration camp. Majority of them were shot dead. You live in Yorubaland, you continue to disparage our way of life. You continue to abuse our obas. You continue to abuse our governors. We provided 70%. The areas I have mentioned are all Igbos. We have never killed you for once. You murdered our leaders. Akintola, we did not kill you. But the Hausa Fulani, you murdered their leader. They killed you. They exterminated all of you. The same thing the Japanese were doing. Go and read history. Try and read it. February 1942. That was when President Roosevelt gave the executive order for all Japanese in America to be rounded up and sent into concentration camp. Majority of them were killed. That is America. It is not Afghanistan or any backward country, one of the civilized countries of the world. We are going to give you the same treatment, Igbo. We will give you the same treatment in Yorubaland. The time has come for you to stop supporting the political interests of the Hausa Fulani. You cannot be living in my homeland and be antagonizing me. I will chase you out of my homeland. That's what America did. Fulani killed you. I'm going to talk about the history of massacre. How Fulani have been killing you, but every time you go about to support political interests, stupid idiot, Igbo youth, you are already propping up Atiku to come and replace Buhari. Idiots. In my own homeland you live, half of you, I'm going to chase you out. Let me tell you something to you. Let me say this to the Yoruba youth. In 2012, in 2012, over 2 million people applied for visa to come into the United Kingdom as visitor, student, tourists, and everything. 2 million people. You know how many people were granted the visa? Only 120,000. The British government made 1 billion profit from visa. Are you aware that every year over 5 million Igbo move into Yorubaland? If we tax you, if we charge you visa fee, that will be running into trillions of naira. That is what we are going to do to you. You understand? My generation is very different. We have been tortured. We have been born into degradation. We have no qualitative education anymore. We have no job anymore. We can't get married anymore. We don't have any accommodation. Yet, we now realize that the wealth of Nigeria belongs to us. We will be ruthless. Because we are going to do this to safeguard the interest and welfare of our children and children yet unborn, as well as our grandchildren. So you continue to abuse us. The same treatment America gave to Japanese in 1942, we are going to give you that same treatment. We will round you up and put you in concentration camp. Over 200,000 Japanese residents, including all naturalized Japan citizens, were arrested, and more than 90% of them were imprisoned. These individuals suffered grievous violations of their civil liberties and more sweeping, uprooting entire community and targeting citizens as well as resident aliens to protect and safeguard the interests and welfare of other Americans. That's what the Japanese came. They were making mouth. America was so upset, they went and dropped atomic bomb on them. It's the same shit you are doing. You know, Oba of Lagos said we are going to chase you into the ocean, Atlantic Ocean. We will do that for you. You cannot live in my home country. You cannot be benefiting from my home country. And every time we're talking about politics, stupid you, Igbo, you will go and be supporting Fulani. You didn't vote for Abiola. We will chase you out of our homeland. Bahari. Let me say something to you, the Igbo. Personally, what I want, if I become the leader of the Yoruba nation, believe you me, the Yoruba in Benin Republic, the Yoruba in Togo will come to Yorubaland visa-free. The Yoruba in Brazil, Cuba, Puerto Rico, Trinidad and Tobago, they will travel to Yorubaland without visa. But when they get to Lagos International Airport, that's where we are going to give them 3 months tourist visa or anymore. So we get some change from them as well, so that they can come down to Alafni or Onis Palace to come and see some of our museum. But you, Igbo, you're going to pay. You will pay visa fee. I'm going to make more of you because you are very stupid. We help you. You kill our leader. We have never killed your leader. We educated all your leaders in our homeland. Every time we talk about politics, you always go along with Hausa Fulani that are killing you. Are you crazy? Because you want to target Lagos. Because you believe if you work with Hausa Fulani, you easily get control of Lagos. I'm coming. I'm coming. So you lack sense of history. That's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you history. That is America that I'm talking about. Go and read. The Japanese in America were rounded up, they were in prison, and majority of them were killed because they were doing the rubbish you are doing in Yorubaland. That is history. I'm telling you, since you don't read, you don't want to read, you think everything that is happening in the world now is new. There's nothing new under the sun. So all the nonsense you are doing, you do not stop. I'm not asking you to stop abusing us. I'm asking you to support the political interests of the Yoruba nation. If you don't want to support our political interests, leave our homeland in peace before we bounce on you. That's the same thing the English will tell you when they are doing election. They tell black people, go back to your country. We will give you the same treatment, the Igbo. I'm telling you. Now, let me remind you something. Let me remind you something, the Igbo. Your history of Hausa Fulani killing you. In 1945, you were killed in Jos. You were massacred. Kano in 1953, 1966 massacre in the north. Kano in 1980, Maiduguri in 1982, Jemita in 1984, Gombe in 1985, Hausa Fulani killed you. Zaria in 1987, Kaduna and Kamfasha in 1991, Bauchi and Katsina in 1991, Kano in 1991, Zango Katamfa in 1992. Gambari are just killing you like cow, like flies.
Funtua in 1993, Kano in 1994, Kaduna in year 2000, Kaduna again in year 2001, Maiduguri in year 2001, Kaduna in year 2002, post-April 2011 presidential election, when Buhari lost that election. You remember? You were killed. You were massacred. Igbo, they killed you. Mumbi, January 6, 2012. I decided to end that research there. I've not bothered to go further what happened to you in 2013. But every now and then since 1945, Hausa Fulani have been killing you. You are so hopeless. You are so horrible, so fearful of Hausa Fulani. You have always been fighting them since 1960. So what you are telling the Yoruba youth is this: we give you the Americans treatment, the same treatment the American meted out to the Japanese, or we give you the Hausa Fulani treatment before you will then learn to respect the Yoruba, because you don't want to respect us. How can you live in my homeland? How can you have the best of facilities in my homeland every time you go against me? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Let me talk about the concept of Omoluabi to the Yoruba youth. You see, there is this argument which I have refuted time without number. There are two arguments. I have given you the treatment of America to the Japanese and what Hausa Fulani are doing to the Igbo. I'm going to talk about sex and relationship, marriage. Then I'm going to talk about election. You see, I'm going to talk about election. I'm not talking about election of black people in America and in England. This is what the Igbo used to say. They have a right in Yoruba. I will shock you because you don't do research, because you don't have sense of history. You don't know how the war rose. You don't know. You see Mandela as a hero because he sent away the English and the Netherlands. Because Awolowo denied Zik from ruling Yorubaland, you said Awolowo is tribalistic. You talk about tribalism. You can't just pick and choose. You understand? Let me not talk about the concept of Omoluabi, but that is not really the intention here. There's an idea that because Yoruba and Igbo are having sex together, we are married to each other, we are friends. People are very funny. When it comes to liberty, war, and freedom, sex, marriage pales into insignificance. The Queen of England, she's married to Prince Philip, a descendant of the Danish German house of Slegers, Holstein, Stonderborg, Blockborg, whose families have provided best scope royalty to Denmark, Norway, and Greece. Philips born Prince Filippo of Greece and Denmark on June 10, 1921 in Corinth. He, Prince Philip, has a lot more German than Greek blood and does speak German. That is the husband of the Queen of England. Nevertheless, the Queen is wife and the head of state of Britain and the commander-in-chief of its armed forces declare war on her husband's homeland, Germany. You are telling me because Igbo and Yoruba are having sex together, because Igbo and Yoruba are married together. So when it comes to war, when it comes to liberty, when it comes to freedom, that means something. It means nothing. Understand? The Queen married to a German declare war on her husband's homeland. Millions of lives were lost. Igbo, if you do not respect Yoruba, you will pay for the consequences of your action. My generation is different, and we will shock everyone. We will beat your widest imagination. Let me tell you this. In the beginning of my speech tonight, I spoke about the 16-year war of the Yoruba nation. Ibadan was we were fighting. Ibadan people was fighting with Egba and Ijebu. Ibadan was fighting with Ijesha and Ekiti. Ibadan people was fighting with Ilorin. Yoruba, we were killing ourselves. If it was fighting with Modakeke, we are blood brothers and sisters. We fought and killed ourselves. So if you think because Yoruba are married to the Igbo, we are one, you must be out of your sense. If Yoruba, our home blood, we can fight and kill each other for 16 years, how much more you Igbo? People we accommodated. People we educated. People we gave their language. We gave you your language. We codify it for you. We gave you Christianity. You will come to my homeland and denigrate us. You will come to my homeland and abuse us. You will come to my homeland and talk nonsense against us. When it comes to politics, you will go for Fulani. Emma Jegba. Emma Jeja. I'm telling you, Yoruba fought 16-year war. We were killing each other. We won't blink an eye to attack you. That is what the Oba of Lagos said to you. Chase you into the Atlantic Ocean. Tomorrow, if the English will come and give Igbo some concession, Igbo will kill Yoruba. That's a statement of fact. You will kill Yoruba if the English come and give you some concession. You will kill us. So we know what's up. So don't think we don't know anything. If allow you to come to our homeland unregulated, Edo people will wake up on the wrong side of the bed and claim Lagos State. Whenever one of Hausa Fulani leader is upset in the north, they will threaten to bomb Lagos State. During Jonathan's presidency, the Ijaw bombed Lagos State. Atlakov jet. He just bombed them. So everybody is just looking at Yoruba as idiot. They're just looking at Yoruba youth as gullible. They're just looking at Yoruba youth as useless. Some Yoruba will say Omoluabi doesn't fight just because we have called for organized violence with the use of chemical and biological weapons. And Omoluabi is not a slave. Definitely not an idiot. It does everything humanly possible to protect and safeguard the interest and welfare of his people first and foremost. Bishop Samuel Ajayi Crowther did that. His grandson, Olayinka Abatmakoli, did the same thing. Awolowo protected the interests of the Yoruba. That is what my generation is now doing. It was our father, my father and your father, they were the one that messed up Yorubaland, that allowed the Igbo and Hausa Fulani to overrun us and reduce us to slave in our own homeland. My generation will be very, very brutal. We will change the course of history. Yoruba APC, very stupid people. For electoral vote, they made Igbo commissioners and Yalo Day in Lagos State. At the last election, the Yoruba PDP begged the Igbo to accept the deputy governorship position in Lagos, Yorubaland. Now let me now talk about the election. The Igbo claimed that the elections of black as MP in UK and senator in America justify why an Igbo must be governor in Yorubaland. Again, they don't have sense of history. Some Yoruba youth, they believe the same thing too. Because I live in England. Because black people can vote and be voted for in England. Because black people can vote and be voted for in America. Some idiot Igbo and gullible Yoruba you says that the Igbo must be made governor of Lagos State. Why are black people voting in the United Kingdom? It is because of slavery and colonialism. The English went to their country to enslave them, stole their resources to develop England. It is the same reason why black are allowed to vote in America. Can black lay claim to vote and be voted for in Russia? Can blacks go to China and say they want to vote and be voted for in China? Can they do that in Japan? Can they do that in Latvia, Bulgaria? No, tell me. The blacks are voting and being voted for. The blacks can vote and be voted for in UK because of slavery and colonialism. Yoruba did not enslave or colonize the Igbo. Igbo, you have no legitimate claim to vote and be voted for in Yorubaland. You understand me? That is statement of fact. Don't think we don't know what is going on in the world. Don't take us for a fool. The only non-Yoruba that can vote and be voted for in Yorubaland are the people of Dahomey who are in Benin Republic because we once colonized them. You don't know history. Yoruba once colonized the people of Dahomey. That is it. They are the only people who has the legitimate claim to vote and be voted for in any Yoruba space. The Igbo cannot vote and be voted for in Yorubaland. We will end it, we will stop it. The English colonized more than half of the world population. That is why you see black people voting and being voted for in England. Yoruba, we did not colonize the Igbo. Igbo, you cannot vote and be voted for in Yorubaland because black cannot vote in China. They can't vote in Japan. They can't vote in Thailand. They can't vote in Malaysia. They cannot vote and be voted for. Don't think we are idiots. We did not colonize the Igbo. We instead gave you Christianity. We codified your language. We gave you your language. You have not shown any appreciation for what we have done for you. Hausa Fulani have always been killing you. You supported them. So Igbo, I'm giving you, this is new information. One, what you are doing in Yorubaland, in spite of the help we have given to you, in spite of the fact that we have never killed you, not one. Exact thing the Japanese did in America, that's what you are doing in Yorubaland. We are going to give you the same treatment the Japanese gave to the American gave to the Japanese. Secondly, you said because we are having sex together, because we are married together, then we are friends. No. The Queen of England declared war on her husband's homeland. Sex, marriage pales into insignificance when it comes to freedom, liberty. You understand? The second thing he said, because you have blacks who can vote and be voted for in England, then Igbo will become governor in Yorubaland. You must be crazy. Black people are voting and being voted for in England because the English people once colonized them in their country. We did not colonize you, Igbo. We instead gave you your language and gave you Christianity. We didn't colonize you. We did not rule over you. The only people that we rule over as Yoruba people are the Dahomey people. We colonized them. We enslaved them. They are the only people who have legitimate right to vote and be voted for in Yoruba, not you, Igbo. And I keep telling you the Igbo. You keep saying, oh, if the Igbo should leave Yoruba, Yoruba will be bad. I want Yoruba in Benin Republic to come and do business, to come and live in Yoruba because they are Yoruba like me. I want Yoruba in Togo. I want the Yoruba in Brazil, Cuba, Puerto Rico. We're going to bring them here. Go and read the story of Oba Kosoko. He sent ship to South America to bring all the Yoruba who have been sold into slavery and brought them down to Lagos. That's why you have Pedro. You have Okepoku Adinkokoni Lagos. You don't know history. You think we are crazy, right? We're going to shock you. It is just because the Yoruba youth are very, very gullible, but not anymore. You said you want to vote in Lagos. You want to become our governor. Whether we are the English that colonized you, will come and tell me. Go and become mayor in England and go and become the head of state in England. Nonsense shit. We colonized Dahomey people, Yoruba. The same way English colonized us. I know to colonize in between 1740 and 1823, the Yoruba colonized the Dahomey people in Benin Republic. Now, folks, let me now talk about I got quite considerable of them. People are still watching me, so thanks for support. It's a tough topic because the Igbo are becoming nuisance in Yorubaland. They are becoming nuisance. We don't kill them. We take care of them. We don't fight them. Every time they continue to support the political interests of the Hausa Fulani. I'm fed up. I'm fed up. There are three basic fundamental reasons why Igbo, not only Igbo, everybody comes to Yorubaland. One, Yorubaland is peaceful. Yorubaland is economically viable, and Yorubaland is politically stable. So exactly, tell me, why is Yorubaland peaceful? Yorubaland is peaceful because young Yoruba are not criminally minded. That's why Yorubaland is peaceful. You understand? Do you understand? Yorubaland is peaceful because young Yoruba are not criminally minded. Look at what Hausa Fulani, young Hausa Fulani are doing. X-Men, killing everybody. They are criminally minded. Look at what the Kanuri youth were doing. Boko Haram, killing everybody. Look at what the Igbo youth were doing. Kidnapping, killing everybody. Look at what the Ijaw youth were doing. But the Ijaw youth are my friends. Because the Ijaw youth are freedom fighters. But they were blowing up pipelines, right? But Yorubaland is peaceful because Yoruba youth are not criminally minded. We are not blowing up anything. That is why Yorubaland is peaceful. That is why everybody wants to come to Yorubaland. That's number one. Secondly, why is Yorubaland economically viable? Yorubaland is economically viable because young Yoruba have acquired education as a means of social, cultural, economic, and political development. Young Igbo would rather go and do trading. Yoruba will go to school for 18 years, from primary school to secondary school to university. An average Igbo youth will go and trade for the same number of years, 18 years, to learn how to sell guguru and epa. So Yorubaland is economically viable because young Yoruba have acquired education as a source of social, cultural, and political development. Hausa Fulani youth, wọ́n wà lé mọ́sálásí, wọ́n bára wọn sùn pẹ̀lú disease, leprosy, gbogbo ẹ̀ ló ṣe wọ́n bẹ́ẹ̀. Wọ́n acquire education. Ṣebí Yorùbá ni. Ṣó ti rí báyẹn? One, Yorubaland is peaceful because Yoruba youth are not criminally minded. Yorubaland is economically viable because young Yoruba have acquired education. Àwọn Yoruba lọ school, àwọn ọmọ Igbo wọ́n kọ́ṣẹ́ ni, àwọn ọmọ Hausa mọ́sálásí náà lọ. The third reason why people are coming to Yorubaland is Yorubaland is politically stable. Why is Yorubaland politically stable? Because young Yoruba have embraced the culture of diverse religious and political ideologies. When we started, particularly me and my group, in 2008, I was writing like a gentleman, telling Yoruba youth why we need to go back to regional system of government. They were abusing me. They call me a jobless madman. Everybody wants to listen to me today. It's been on for years. You understand? I respect other people's opinion. In Yorubaland, before the incursion of Christianity and Islam, ara wọn tó ń ṣọ Ọbàtálá, ara wọn tó ń bọ Ògún, ara wọn tó ń ṣọ̀ṣun, ara wọn tó ń ṣe. We don't even proselytize. There is diversity of religion. Then because of that diversity, we allow the Christians and the Muslims to come in and add value to our life. That is why we are politically stable, because we respect diverse ideology. Hausa Fulani don't have that. PDP number lo, ẹni tí ò bá bá PDP ṣe wọ́n pa ni. Action group, nígbà táwọn action group lọ ṣe campaign, wọ́n jó mọ́tò wọn, wọ́n jó clap, wọ́n pa àwọn action group member. Because we embrace diverse religious and political ideology. So yeah, these are the three reasons why people come to our homeland. So Yoruba youth, because you have not been criminally minded, like the Hausa Fulani youth who are killing people all over the place, call themselves Fulani herdsmen, like the Boko Haram Kanuri youth who are killing everybody. You are not criminally minded. Like the Igbo youth who are involved in organized crime, kidnapping in the East. You are not criminally minded. Bombing pipelines. Because the Ijan youth who are bombing pipelines are not criminally minded per se, but they are doing it for legitimate reasons because it's their resources and they have been taken control by the Hausa Fulani. But we have not started. So you, as a Yoruba youth, you allowed Yorubaland to be peaceful because you are not criminally minded. You allow Yorubaland to be economically viable because you have acquired education as a means of social, cultural, economic development. Yorubaland is politically stable because you, as a Yoruba youth, you have embraced diverse religious and political ideologies. In my family, I'm the only one that doesn't go to church. I'm the only one that is Yoruba or Ishadians. Every other person, we are Christian. They don't say, oh, we are not going to talk to him because of the culture of the Yoruba. But you that have created all of this, it should benefit you. But there is no single benefit according to the young Yoruba for good behavior. You've been good. You are not politically, you are not criminally minded. You have acquired education, you've gone to the school. You have embraced diverse political ideology and religious view. So you should benefit from being good boys and girls. You agree with me? But it is not longer, it's not like that. The Yoruba have no priority in Yorubaland when it comes to job opportunity. You have been good, yet you have no priority. In Yorubaland, Igbo, Hausa will have the same priority as you. Go to the Lagos International Airport. Hausa Fulani are there in Yorubaland. Job that should be given to Yoruba youth. Go to the custom. All the 11 custom commands in Yorubaland are manned by Hausa Fulani people. Jobs that should be provided to Yoruba youth for being good. with your good behavior. Go to the wharf. Yoruba youth don't have jobs. Go to the banks all across Yorubaland. The same equal access Igbo has, that's the same access the Yoruba has in Yorubaland. But you have been good, but you are not getting anything for being good behavior. For example, in Yorubaland, 60 to 70% of the staff of Diamond Bank, Oceanic Bank, and Fidelity Bank in Yorubaland are Igbo. Yoruba youth, you've been good, but what is your gain from being good? You have no preferential treatment or priority on housing in Yoruba city like Lagos. Look, in London, Yoruba people live mostly in poorest places like Hackney, Newham, Barking and Dagenham, Enfield, Greenwich. Poor people, that is where Yoruba people live. The English live in all the best place area in London. Battersea, Elscourt, Chelsea, South Kensington, Hampstead, Paddington, King Cross. That is where the English people live. These people are smart. The deprived area of London, that's where you find Yoruba. Go to Peckham. That's why you find Yoruba people there. In Lagos, places like Victoria Island, Ikoyi, Lekki, Ikeja, Surulere, and all other developed area of Lagos have been taken over by the Igbo. In London, Yoruba people live in poorest area of London. The English people live in the most developed area of London. But in your Lagos, Yoruba, you've been good. You still live in the poorest area of Lagos. Igbo have taken over the better area of Lagos. The English don't do that to their own children. Yoruba are mostly living in areas of Lagos like Alimosho, Ikorodu, Yanopaja, Agbadu, Jaye. That's where Yoruba lives. Lekki, Victoria, Ikoyi, Ikeja, Surulere has been taken over by the Igbo. The English don't do that. They live in the best area in London because that is their area. The Yoruba people live in the deprived area of London. But you come to Lagos, it is the deprived area in Lagos that Yoruba people are still living. So Yoruba youth, I'm asking you, what is the benefit of being good youth? You have nothing. Yoruba seaports, airport, immigration, prison, police, custom are either under the control of the Hausa Fulani or the Igbo in Yorubaland. So Yoruba youth, I'm asking you, you have been good. You were the one that made Yorubaland to be peaceful. Yoruba, you were the one that made Yorubaland to be economically viable because you have acquired education. Hausa Fulani youth, they don't go to school, they are elementary. Igbo youth are involved in trading. They spend 18 years to learn how to sell rice and dodo. When Yoruba youth spend 18 years to become lawyers, doctors, engineers. You are the one that have made Yorubaland peaceful because Yorubaland is politically stable because you have embraced the culture of diverse religious and political views. In the north, if you are not APC, they kill you. You know, PDP belonged to it's a northern party. It was party that they brought Obasanjo out. In 1999, if you are not PDP in the north, they kill you. But you have made Yorubaland peaceful, Yoruba youth. But you benefit nothing. Nothing. The Hausa, Fulani, and Kanuri youth are members of Boko Haram. They have blown up the entire northeast. They want to rebuild and reconstruct the northeast. They are going to use the taxes generated in Yorubaland to build it. But when Senator Oluremi Tinubu presented a motion for Lagos State to have at least just a single percentage of its VAT so that they can use it to fund Lagos, Hausa Fulani voted against it. But the Hausa Fulani Kanuri youth, they have blew up everywhere in the north. But they are going to use Yoruba money to rebuild it. So Yoruba, I'm telling you, you have been good for nothing. This is the time for you to change style. Make everywhere ungovernable. Make Yorubaland unpeaceful. Let us bring down the show. We are the economic backbone. To bring back our land, to make Yorubaland great again, We have to take over our port. We have to take over our waterways. We have to take charge of everything in Yorubaland. Your police, Hausa Fulani. Your custom in Yorubaland, Hausa Fulani. Your port, Hausa Fulani. Your airport, Hausa Fulani. Your seaport. You have been good for nothing. The English don't do that. You are disadvantaged in employment, everything. It doesn't pay the young Yoruba to be peaceful anymore. The young Yoruba make Yorubaland peaceful, and as such, they must have priority over employment, housing, and control of the economy and politics in Yorubaland. It is an insult to the young Yoruba to have the same leverage and opportunity with immigrants in Yorubaland. I don't have the same leverage here. I'm an immigrant. When I was young and working in Yorubaland, at the age of 27, I was already a deputy manager in an investment bank. I've never attained that position since I've been in England. I would never, because it's not my country. So it is an insult to the young Yoruba to have the same leverage and opportunity with immigrant Igbo in Yorubaland. The English have more priority in England than the immigrant. The white in America has more priority in the United States than any other race. A peaceful Yorubaland is now a means of undermining the interests and welfare of the Yoruba youth. Under the Nigerian floor unitary system, the Igbo has turned Yorubaland into dumping ground for all manners of things. They imported into Yorubaland European used underwear, used bra, used pant, used knicker, and used clothes. The Yoruba people and residents have contracted debilitating disease wearing this clothing. The Igbo traveled to China and other countries, imported into Yorubaland substandard drugs. Many Yoruba and residents within Yorubaland have been known to have died as a result of fake drugs brought into Yorubaland by the Igbo. Igbo also imported used spare parts into Yorubaland and are known to have damaged many vehicles in Yorubaland. There is no commensurate benefit of Igbo presence in Yorubaland with what they have benefited from Yorubaland. They have no manufacturing industry producing drugs or clothing material or spare parts. They have helped turn Yorubaland into a service economy as against the manufacturing economy we have had in the 60s. The Yoruba have no substantial political power under the floor unitary system to control its space, wealth, or human and natural resources. We don't. Over 90% of armed robbery attacks within Yorubaland are committed by non-Yoruba people. 98% of extrajudicial killing committed in Yorubaland are carried out by non-Yoruba police officers. 85% of ritual and kidnapping cases in Lagos and other Yoruba states are carried out by the Igbo. The Igbo are responsible for kidnapping in Yorubaland. 75% of drug trafficking cases in Lagos are carried out by the Igbo. 75% of organized crimes in Lagos are carried out by the Igbo. 90% of pirated CD cases in Lagos are carried out by the Igbo. 70% of fake and adulterated drugs in Lagos that have killed thousands of Yoruba people are carried out by the Igbo. 90% of vandalism cases in Lagos are carried out by the Igbo. The former governor of Lagos State, Fashola, complains about that. He said that by the time they build any road with the railings, under 24 hours after the road must have been commissioned, the Igbo will go there and remove all the railings. They use it to make spoons and pots. So 90% of vandalism cases in Lagos is carried out by the Igbo. Financial, fiscal, and social crisis in Igbo land seems to fuel their movement into Yorubaland, as Lagos is perceived as a safe haven with no barrier to entry. Our development of Western region has made living in Yorubaland relatively good value. We stand out as a tolerant, culturally sophisticated, and perfectly located to live, work, and get education. We have Atlantic Ocean. we have a shoreline. The Igbo don't have shoreline. Hausa Fulani don't have shoreline. However, the unregulated movement of Igbo, 5 million per year into Yorubaland, have reduced the standard of living of Yoruba citizens and extended Igbo criminality to our space. If Yoruba really does prove to be the most educated race in Nigeria and wants self-preservation as well as security of life and property for its citizens, residents, and visitors, then suburb Lagos and state capitals in Yorubaland will arrest and deport Igbo immigrants in Yorubaland involved in armed robbery, kidnapping, vandalism, piracy, production and distribution of adulterated drugs, prostitution, importation of substandard and prohibited goods, 419, street begging, street trading, child trafficking, and child labor. This is what I'm advocating. Because of the sham unitary system we are practicing, Igbo are just moving into our space unregulated, and they are constituting nuisance. So Igbo armed robbers in Yorubaland should be deported. The kidnappers should be deported. If you go across the prisons in Yorubaland, I'm challenging you, you can do it tomorrow. We have prisons in Lagos, we have prisons in Ibadan. Go there. 70 to 80%, 75% to 80% of the prisoners are almost Igbo in Yorubaland. These are serious. And it is the Yoruba people that are being killed. So long as Nigeria remains a mere geographical location, policy decisions in Yorubaland should be about safeguarding the welfare and interests of the Yoruba people first and foremost. If Yorubaland is underdeveloped, Igbo will not move en masse there daily. With everything they benefited from Yorubaland, yet they have continued to support the Hausa Fulani political interest. I would like to talk about the Igbo claim that they have developed Lagos. Let us get this part right. Igbo did not develop Lagos. Rather, it is Lagos that shaped and made Igbo what they are today. You did not develop Lagos. Without Igbo in Lagos, Lagos will remain Lagos. And without Lagos, most Igbo may likely be nothing. So that's why I said to the Igbo, I would rather have the Yoruba in Benin Republic, the Yoruba in Togo, the Yoruba in Brazil, Cuba, Puerto Rico come to Lagos than have Igbo there. Believe you me, that is my star. That is my intent and purpose. You cannot live in our homeland and continue to antagonize us every now and then. I'm not going to accept it anymore. The young Yoruba will not accept it anymore. Reason for my assertion is that most giant and top companies that attract millions of people across the country and the world at large to Lagos are not owned by the Igbo. So how have Igbo shaped and developed Lagos? By Tokumbo and fake spare part at Ladipo Market? Is that how the Igbo have shaped and developed Lagos? By China Electronics and pirated CD at Alaba Market? Is that how you have developed Lagos? By bend down and select clothes at Idumota, Yaba, and Kotangora Market? Is that how you have shaped Lagos? Chinese and Tokumbo computer, phones, and accessories at Computer Village, Ikeja, are Igbo economic achievement and contribution to Lagos. The following companies are what attracted millions of people to Lagos, as well as Apapa Industrial Estate, Ilupeju Industrial Estate, as well as Ikeja Industrial Estate, built by Awolowo from the proceeds of cocoa. It is this company like PZ, Coca-Cola, 7-Up, Cadbury, MTN, Glow, Zane, Etisalat, ShopRite, Golden Penny, Flour Mill, Indomie, Unilever, P&G, Chill Limited, Tower, WH Bush, Backos, Guinness, Nigerian Beauties, Ohando, Corn Oil, Total, Mobil, Chevron, Fort Oil, South Atlantic Oil, Any Oil, Shell, KFC, Aquadana, Eco Hotel, Oriental Hotel, Intercontinental Hotel, Protea Hotel, Julius Berger, RCC Construction, Nestle, KPMG, GSK, Freelands Food, Wamco, British Tobacco Company, Stombaja, AIT, TBC, Silverboard TV, Charles TV, Lafarge, etc. These are the big companies that attracted people to Lagos. They are not owned by Igbo. You have not developed Lagos. We developed you. We codified your language. We gave you Christianity. We allow you access, unregulated access into our homeland. We are going to stop that. And every now and then you constantly continue to support the political interests of the Hausa Fulani. We will end that nonsense. Osibo are causing nuisance in Lagos. The environment the Igbo traders are mostly populated are always polluted with waste of all sorts. They've destroyed Festac completely. That's where they live. They are dirty, stinking, rough, erect, illegal shops on the roads, on pipeline and railway lines indiscriminately in these marketplaces that cause traffic gridlock and other dangerous situations. When the Lagos state government dismantle these illegal shops, they get angry. Igbo shouldn't lay claim that they develop a place by becoming nuisance. In fact, most of the crimes in Lagos are connected to the Igbo. So how has the Igbo developed Lagos when they can't get their hand off crimes? And I'm going to hand this speaking truth to you, particularly to the young Igbos. The truth is that Igbo should be grateful that the Yoruba accommodated them in Lagos peacefully and make them feel at home. They shouldn't take the meekness and kindness of the Yoruba for granted. The Igbo did not make Lagos, but it is actually Lagos that made the Igbo. The Igbo have reiterated their position with the Yoruba for untinted time that they will not and cannot and can never be our friend. You can feel this in everyday joint discussions, debates, and general issues. We seldom agree. The resentment we have for each other is not a joke. If the Igbo will not support the Yoruba political aspiration, they will have to leave our homeland and go back to their homes. Henceforth, we will attack you, Igbo, in our homeland. You cannot have half of your population living, working, and getting education in Yorubaland, but every time you have never for once supported our political interests. You have always, since 1959, supported the political interests of the Hausa Fulani. I want to end this nonsense. You have to leave our homeland. There are options that will be open to you. We will treat you the same way the Americans treated the Japanese in 1942. But I don't think the Yoruba have the same level of thinking as the Hausa Fulani to start killing people unjustly. So I doubt if we are going to exterminate you. But we are likely going to give you the same treatment the Americans gave to the Japanese in 1942. So the option is always yours. We did not invite you to our homeland. If we have issued you with a visa fee, you can make legitimate claim in Yorubaland. One, we did not colonize you. So you have no legitimate claim to say you want to vote and be voted for in Yorubaland. The blacks who can vote and be voted for in England is as a result of slavery and colonialism. And do not say because we're married to you or we're having sex with you, then we are one. No, we're not. The Queen of England is married to a German, yet she declared a war on her husband's country. But the point is this. The reality is this. The Igbo must appreciate one thing. The Yoruba are civilized people. If you are no longer going, you have never supported our political interests anyway. If you will not support our political aspiration to rule in Nigeria, to control our resources, to control our waterway, to control our port, to control what belongs to us as Yoruba people, if you will not support this political aspiration, you are better to leave our country in peace. Because my generation will not hurt like my parents' generation. We will hurt like the white Americans. We will hurt like the English, who are always thinking about the interest and welfare of their people. So I call on all young Igbo, if you want us to trade, which is going to bring friendship, you have to respect our political aspiration. You have to respect our political aspiration for one fundamental thing. The Yoruba are the majority in Nigeria in terms of the population of the country. We are 25%. Hausa is 20%. Igbo, you are 17%. Fulani, they are just 9%. In terms of the wealth of Nigeria, the Yoruba produce 49% of Nigerian income. Hausa Fulani only produce 2.5%. You Igbo, you produce 1.5% of Nigerian income. In terms of the gross domestic product of Nigeria, the size of the Nigerian economy, the goods and services produced, Yoruba alone will produce 80% of Nigeria GDP. However you look at it, we, the Yoruba, are the economic backbone. And if you, the Igbo, will not like to support our political aspiration to rule, if you, Igbo, will not support our political aspiration to control what belongs to us, it will be better for you to leave our home country. Otherwise, we will give you the same treatment the white American gave to the Japanese in 1942. Thank you for your time. I'm most grateful. Good night.